Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. We have the big breaking news that apparently Brentford's Bryan Mbeumo wants to join Manchester United. Clubs set to open talks. This is the big news. David Ornstein dropping as what they call a boomba. And, yeah, I mean, I asked for it yesterday. I said, you know, why haven't we gotten any sort of significant update on this thing? We were interested for about the past week and a half, 2 weeks. So this is the big news, big story. I'm going to read the article. We're going to get into it. We're going to have a good discussion about it. Before we do, please make sure you smash the like button because it helps the channel grow and we greatly appreciate it. So if you want to help the channel grow, just make sure you smash that like button. And we are trying to get to 3,500 subscribers. So if you're new and you haven't subscribed already, then make sure you subscribe and you hit the notification bell icon. We also have a Discord. Link is in the channel bio, description, whatever, of the channel. You can get in there. We'll drop it in the live chat as well at some point, so you can find it there. And we'll drop it in the comments after the show as well, if you want to join the Discord. But let's just get into it. I have the article here from David Ornstein, so I will read the whole thing. It's not that long, but it has a good amount of information, and I'd rather just read it from David Ornstein than do it from the aggregators, and we could just do our whole conversation. Axe is here. Shout out Axe. And Lyle is here as well. Shout out Lyle. Hope you guys are doing well. So, David Ornstein dropped this article with all the Mbeumo stuff and says Bryan Mbeumo has decided he wants to join Manchester United, and the Old Trafford club is set to open talks with Brentford as they pursue an agreement to sign the forward this summer. Mbeumo, 25, has 1 year left on his contract at the G-Tech Community Stadium, and it includes an option for Brentford to extend by 12 months. Last season was the Cameroon international's most productive since joining from the French side, Troyes, in 2019, contributing 20 goals and 8 assists. Which is very good. 28 GA in a season. It has attracted interest from the likes of Arsenal, Newcastle United, and Tottenham Hotspur, but Mbeumo favors a switch to Manchester United if they can strike a deal with Brentford. Brentford head coach Thomas Frank admitted in May that the club would be open to selling this summer if an appropriate offer arrived. And the quotes were, "If the right price, and that's going to be expensive, is coming, then I'm sure the club will be open to it." He continues to write, a versatile forward capable of playing out wide or through the middle. Mbeumo is the latest in a long line of recruitment success stories for Brentford. He has helped the club to promotion via the Championship playoffs in his second season before comfortably making the step up to the top flight. He scored 8, 9, and 9 goals, respectively, in Brentford's first 3 Premier League seasons before his breakout 24-25 campaign. Mbeumo has 18 caps at international level for Cameroon, scoring 4 goals. And then, I think that's the... Hold on, because what is this? Is this an attached article? Yeah, okay, so that's nothing. So, yeah, that's pretty much what he dropped. So, I mean, it's big news because Lumen says he won't get excited. I'm excited because at least the club is fucking moving. At least the club is moving. At least we're doing things. And you know what? I take this as a W, considering the fact that Newcastle are there. They have Champions League football. And there's, other clubs such as Arsenal and Tottenham were also linked to him. And if he's choosing us, then I'm quite happy about that. It means we still got a little bit of pull. We still have a little bit of, we can get some players. It's not all hope is lost. I mean, it was looking very dull. It was looking very gloom recently. This is a bit of positivity. Yesterday was a heavily negative show, but because, the truth. And, sometimes the truth is not nice. So you have to call it for what it is. But I think this is a positive, and I'll take it. I think at this point where Manchester United are, we need to take the W's when we can get them. So obviously, I mean, we still have some work to do. We got to actually, agree with Brentford, get the fee done and all that stuff, and then actually get the thing properly signed and stuff like that. But I mean, when David Ornstein drops a story and says that Mbeumo has decided he wants to join Manchester United, I mean, it's, you can't get a bigger update than that surrounding a player that many people in United wanted. So Grace is here. She says, I don't want to hear that Amorim hasn't been back. Top 4 next season minimum. Yeah, Lumen said he won't get excited. Lumen says because they change when here. Well, fair point. I guess, we could wait to see when they touch the, the pitch for Old Trafford and see how they do. Grace says Cunha and Mbeumo and a new striker that's 40 goals minimum, Premier League proven. I don't want excuses. Garnacho, Højlund, and Bruno will all go. Nobody to scapegoat if it all goes wrong. I mean, yeah, if you want to be like that, that's fine. Again, I will wait for the rest of the summer to finish out, and then I'll see how the squad's looking, and I'll make my determination at that point. But fair enough. X says same, to be honest, but let's hope for the best. It's what we can do at the moment. I mean, that's all we really can do, X, is kind of hope for the best. I mean, we have our opinions, we have our thoughts and feelings and stuff like that, but, at the end of the day, we don't have too much control and stuff like that. Lumen says, how much is he worth per week? I don't know. It's a good question. Let me try and find out for you, but I did see that Lumen said 50 million max. I would pay 50 to 60 million. Again, I think it's pretty standard. He's had a breakout season, 28 GAs, 28 goals, assists, 20 goals, 8 assists this season, playing in the Premier League. 4 years, 3 or 4 years experience, and yeah, he has 1 year left on his contract, so maybe you should argue for the 50, like Lumen is saying, and not really for the 60. But it's still a pretty standard fee for a Premier League player. But yeah, I mean, there's some sort of other significant interest. It's not like we're the only ones that are really in for it. I mean, kind of like Cunha was, because anybody could have paid that. Anybody could have paid the Cunha fee, and nobody did. We came in and we paid it. And if anybody really wanted him, they could have just matched it, and then they could have rivaled us for it. Nobody did it. So, we had a clear shot at that one. This one was a little bit more, there was more interest from especially Newcastle side. Let me see, wages. It says that he is on a weekly salary of £45,000. So, I mean, it's going to be cheap, considering to some of our other players. Lumen says, so will play right back Ahmad or Mbeumo? Well, I believe, Lumen, that Mbeumo is probably going to be the other number 10. I mean, they said Cunha is the 110. Mbeumo is supposed to be another 10, because they said we wanted 2 10s apparently, and that's what Ruben has asked for. So I would assume it should be Ahmad. If anybody between the two, I would assume it's Ahmad. I actually prefer Ahmad there. I think it suits him well. I think he plays it well, and I actually like Ahmad playing wingback more than I do him playing 10. I think he gets more involved. I think it's better for him he makes better runs in behind. I think he's quite good at overlapping as well, and I just think that the fact that he has more pitch in front of him is better for him. And I also like his work rate defensively as well. So I think, for me, it makes the most sense if Ahmad's going to play the right wing back, because when I look at Ahmad and when I look at Mbeumo, I would say Ahmad is more fitted to play the wing back position than Mbeumo is. And, it's been reported that we wanted another number 10, and Mbeumo is supposed to be the other number 10. So, I mean, it's quite interesting because we're getting 2 number 10s immediately, and we still need to figure out the striker, of course, because, we have an update about that as well. Apparently, Rasmus Hojlund is being targeted by Inter Milan. Apparently, he's on the top list. We'll get into that and break that down. But I just want to talk a little bit of, I just want to give a little bit more updates about Mbeumo, because Fabrizio has also chimed in, and he's said some stuff as well, so we should cover that. And just like Grace pointed out before, I mean, combined so far, Cunha, this past season, he played 33 matches, he had 15 goals, 6 assists, and Mbeumo played 38 matches, 20 goals and 8 assists. So we're increasing the firepower up top. I think it's a good indication, and hopefully this brings about the goals. Because for me personally, I think our biggest and major issue with a lot of the games, listen, we're not going to be perfect by any means. There's just no possible way that it's going to happen. But I feel like there was a lot of games in last season. Some we were just absolutely horrible and terrible. But I feel like there was some games where we were actually decently good, or we didn't play that badly. But because we struggled so much for goals, we lost these matches, or we didn't get 3 points. We drew or something like that. And I if we can increase the output of goals, I think it's going to be a major impact for next season, and it should be a different look. And hopefully we get a different feeling, and maybe there's a different sort of feeling within the team if we're winning some more matches, and maybe we're putting in more consistent performances and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good day today. I didn't think we were gonna get it on a Monday, to be quite honest. I'm just trying to find the Fabrizio update, because Fabrizio gave his own update as well. So Fabrizio, here we go. So Fabrizio, kind of just reiterating, I guess, what David Ornstein said. He said, Mbeumo has decided to give priority to Manchester United move this summer, despite interest from 3 clubs in the Premier League. Mbeumo favors Man United move, as David Ornstein reports. Negotiations club to club due to follow soon with Brentford. So, and I think we got more updates as well. So let me just check this out and see, because I'm doing this live. I didn't have time to prepare like I usually do. Ben Jacobs has come with an update saying a formal bid from Manchester United for Bryan Mbeumo is expected soon. Brentford want around £50 million. So what Lumen said as well, around there. So yeah. Chad says, is Bruno going or not? Nobody knows. I mean, people feel like it's going to happen, Chad, and people feel like it probably is going to happen. But I would say probably, to be, I don't know, as fair without any inside knowledge as possible, it's probably 50-50. I would say at this point. Some people might argue it's more in the corner of Bruno leaving, but the updates we're getting is a little bit hot, a little bit cold. Like, United are reluctant, but they would have to listen to a $100 million offer, and Bruno is obviously sending his agent to talk to Al Hilal, and they're discussing things. So I mean, there's no fire without smoke. So there obviously is something there, but I think at the end of the day, I guess it comes down to one, the club, but also Bruno Fernandes. And I don't know if either one of them has actually made an actual decision yet. So Michael Owens says, we need a good goalkeeper, trust me, and a good striker. Well, yeah, I mean, I do trust you, because I do know that. But for me, 100%, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do with goalkeeper. Goalkeeper seems like it's a little bit down the list. I think they still want to do something, but I think a goalkeeper is going to be one of those positions where we're going to have to do the majority of the business. So the 210s, the striker, they're probably going to go for a midfielder as well. And then if we have funds and we can, maybe, if Bruno goes, we'll definitely have funds, but maybe it has to come from, maybe we have to wait to sell Rashford and Anthony or something like that. And then maybe we move for a goalkeeper at that point as well. So we got to see. Grace says, we all knew our attack was going to be overhauled. Yeah, it had to. I mean, we couldn't score goals. And our attack was absolutely dead. So Robert says better days are coming. Well, I mean, that's what Ruben said. And he kind of promised us that. So I'm kind of hoping he can, follow through with that promise. I always said it was, he hasn't been one to shy away from anything, regardless of what you think of him or how you feel of him. He hasn't shied away from anything. He's taken everything head on. And, to make that statement at the end of the worst season ever in front of the Old Trafford crowd, and then, of course, the world, because the world saw that. And to sort of promise that to everybody that's coming after the season we just had, it's a big statement. So, I just, I hope he pulls it off. I hope it pulls through. And both the Premier League proven, yeah. And I get, again, to me, this is positives, Grace. We talked about it a little bit before, a few weeks ago. We were saying, like, I said that I think now is probably the good time, considering that we're struggling to perform in the Premier League and we were struggling against Premier League teams. Now would probably be a good time to, if we can do some deals to get some Premier League players. It minimizes the risk of the transition. They're accustomed to the football. They're accustomed to the league. We know that they can handle the physicality and the speed. They've been performing. So I think it's all pluses. Obviously, there's still sort of a slight adjustment thing because, you're going from Wolves and Brentford to United. It's still a different beast, even though, we're down on our knees. And, we are in the Premier League, but it's still United. There's still a lot of pressure. But I think Cunha is one that can handle it. He seems like a fiery character, and I think he can handle it. I don't know too much about... I haven't really analyzed Mbeumo's sort of, I guess, attitude or anything like that. But in terms of the qualities that he has for how I see it fit, I don't like to always talk about the system because I think it goes beyond the system anyway of Ruben. He does fit Ruben's system, but at the same time, generally, I think if you get any manager and they need to compete in the Premier League, I think he has certain characteristics that automatically qualify him. He has strength. He has good speed. He can score your goals. He can get you assists. He has good decision making. He's not like overtly selfish. And I think these are all things that you just, on a general basis, you really need in a team. It doesn't really matter who the manager is and what sort of system or formation you play. Those are just basic, general ground level qualities that you need in players to have a good squad. So, Batosa Benone says, great signings so far, a striker and a goalkeeper, and we're done. But I still need some understanding on the Amorim's 3-4-3 system. How possible will this formation work at United? It's a good question. It's tough to answer because I think it really relies on the kind of players we have. And there's a lot of work still to do with some of the players that are, that are going to be staying and that are here. And, we do need the striker. And I know we need the goalkeeper too, but for me personally, I'm always one that I focus on the attack a lot. And I'm not saying like Onana should stay. I'm just saying that I prioritize the striker ahead of the keeper. I think if we can, I've always said this, I think if we can get an attack that can score and averaging 2.5 to 3 goals a match, and they're firing on all cylinders and they're creating good chances and we're scoring, at least two goals a game, I think we have very good chances to be winning matches, even if we do have Onana making mistakes in the back and stuff like that. Obviously, we'll lose points. And, if, for example, we're in the FA Cup or something, final, or, semi-final or something like that, and it's a match where you get knocked out, we could get knocked out because of that. So I get that. But I feel like let's just complete the attack, Cunha, Mbeumo, and a striker, and that attack's looking fresh and clean and a lot more stronger and a lot more dangerous. And then we start moving back. We'll grab a midfielder, and I hope they grab a goalkeeper too. I mean, the goalkeeper thing has gone quiet a little bit, so I expect it. I think probably once we do this deal and then we finish the striker thing and we start moving back, maybe we'll start hearing talks about a midfielder and a goalkeeper kind of together at the same time or something like that. Grace says INEOS is cooking. Well, listen, this is the job that they have at hand. And again, I've always said this. This is their time now. Like, they've done things a lot of United fans disagree with, that they didn't like, and rightfully so. I mean, I'm not defending them in any way, but I've always said the opportunity they have to fix their image and to get people back on their side and do the right thing will be in this transfer window. And if they can pull off a job and a half, and they can show that, like, listen, our club has problems, we're struggling, but we are fucking trying. I think at the very least, some people that maybe are feeling less less likable towards them will, at least respect that to a certain degree. So Axe says if we still can't score, it will be all on Amorim. Well, maybe. Maybe. I mean, I would probably say that. Again, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding as the time goes on. I mean, if we don't score, I don't think we'll be winning matches. So I think at some point Ruben will probably end up getting sacked because the results won't be good enough. And if Ruben gets sacked and we bring in another manager and another manager comes in and we start scoring goals, then obviously, that's the answer. Because it would just be the same players with a different manager. So, Michael Owen says, and can't wait to see Martinez in the system properly. Yeah, that's one that I missed the dude. I hope he stays fit because again, I think Martinez, he fits the back perfectly. I mean, he can bring the ball up. He used to be actually, was it a left back or a center defensive mid? One of them under Ten Hag. So he's quite good at carrying the ball. And he just has a good mentality and attitude, and he always tries to go forward with the ball, and he actually progresses it out of the back quite well. So I think he's one that actually we need him to come back, and we need him to stay fit because I think he'll fit right in, and he'll be perfect. So Gray says Dorgu, left wing back, Cunha left 10, new striker, Mbeumo right 10, and Ahmad right wing back. Yep. And we should be looking a lot more dangerous. And I do hope, Grace, I do hope that now that it's going to be a fresh new season and he's going to get some people in, I do hope that he does at least have like Ahmad as the wing back. If he doesn't go with two wingers as wing back, I don't know if he could do two wingers. But Dorgu is, he's an actual wing back. Like he gets forward and he does quite well. The only thing is that he needs to work on his crossing and his passing a little bit, and probably compared to a winger, to a legitimate winger, he's probably missing a little bit of like a goal scoring threat, like putting the ball into the back of the net and adding some goals from that position. But I think one of the things it was like that I kind of felt like was hurting us all the time was like, Ruben was being a little bit more defensive than I think he probably preferred to be by playing, defenders in the wingback position. And, when his team was set at Sporting and he was comfortable, and maybe you can't do it because it's the Prem and maybe you got to go a little bit more defensive. But I don't know. I think he would prefer, if he could figure it out, a way for it to work. I think he would prefer to have at least one winger, legitimate winger as a wingback, because I think it makes the system much more threatening, and it makes it work better in terms of goal output, and that's what he wants. I mean, he wants to replicate, what was going on in Sporting, where they were scoring about 3 goals a game. He wants something like that. That's how his system works the best. I mean, it's really supposed to be one that's more offensive. It's not one where you secede possession and you be compact and you don't control the game. It's supposed to be you're on the ball and you're constantly a threat and you're attacking. So Chad says, who do you think will be captain next? I don't know. It's a good question. I would probably give it to probably De Ligt. Sorry, I ate something spicy earlier. Thirsty. I'd probably give it to De Ligt, but I don't know. I don't know, because I feel like Ruben is kind of a little bit full of surprises sometimes. And maybe he doesn't give it to De Ligt, maybe he gives it to somebody else. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, if Bruno actually does go, because obviously he's the captain. So who's going to become the captain? It'll be interesting to see who he picks as captain. And it'll be a big deal. So what made them choose Man United? Hard to know, to be honest. Well, Cunha, we've always known, has a love. He had a certain love for Manchester United. He respected Manchester United. Because even last summer, he always spoke highly of Manchester United. So we just happen to be lucky in that sense, because again, it's not the most common thing. It's not like there's loads and loads of players, but you will get a player or two here and there every once in a while that they like Manchester United. They respect the club. They like the history of it and what what it represents, or what it's supposed to represent at least. And sometimes a player has a dream to play at Manchester United Old Trafford, and sometimes they happen to be a good player as well. And Mbeumo, I don't really know, to be quite honest. Because it didn't seem that way, like with Mbeumo. It wasn't the same as Cunha. We didn't have that sort of, there wasn't like a video of him with his friends hanging out, talking about United and how good of a team they are or whatever. And the stories that we were getting was like, we were heavily interested in him, but we were getting this back and forth of like Newcastle are in the lead because they can offer him Champions League and stuff like that. And then now David Ornstein has dropped the ultimate Boomba and he's chosen United. So we don't actually know why. I mean, maybe we'll get some details about it that come out and somebody will tell us, what was the deciding factor in him making that decision. Maybe INEOS sold him the project. I don't know. Maybe he had a soft spot for United as well. I don't know. Gray says we don't need a goalkeeper. Put it on in midfield. That position, the opposition won't get the ball 100% possession next season. No, I mean, he won't get the ball. He can't hold on to the ball. Chad says fade is fresh. All right, thank you, Chad. Thank you. Lumen says we need a Rodri type CDM who can play alone as a play breaker. Ugarte is not good, and Casemiro either. I think Ugarte's not that bad actually. But we probably do need to add to the midfield, and I think Cass ain't bad either. But the problem with Cass is he don't got the legs for the Prem, and the Prem has speed. I think when we played Tottenham, you seen that. When we played the other teams in Europe, he did quite well, and he held it down, and he had big impacts in the matches. But when we went to go play Tottenham, he got exposed and burned, especially playing next to Bruno, because Bruno's not really he's not really that type of player there either. So Michael Owen says better times are coming, trust the manager. You guys are going crazy with the chat. I'm trying to keep up and I can't. Axe says good night. Well, good night. Lumen says 3-4-3 only worked once for Conte at Chelsea. It's not a successful system. Well, Eddie Howe plays it, although he might play it 3-4-2-1, but I mean, we're not really playing a 3-4-3 either. We're supposed to be playing a 3-4-2-1 as well. So Grace says, "Hold that Newcastle life is a humbler." That's right. We're the real United, not Newcastle United, and there's no rivalry between us. They keep trying to make a rivalry. There ain't no rivalry. There ain't no rivalry. They might be above us in the league right now, but they're way behind in all accolades. So. Temeskin says United want Danny Munoz, Emi Martinez, Ederson, and Mbeumo, Mitrovic. Oh, hell no. Gonzalo Ramos, Pedro Gonzalez, Torres is better for next season. Usually, I'm okay with what you say, Temeskin, but the fact you put Mitrovic in there, I can't agree with that. There's absolutely no way you've put in Mitrovic in there. If we end up getting Mitrovic, I'll stick my head in a wood chipper. Just no. I don't want to see Mitrovic. We shouldn't be getting Mitrovic. I would have rather have gotten Delap instead of Mitrovic. Just absolutely not. Keep Mitrovic as far away from us as possible. I don't want him. It's not the signing I want to see. Absolutely not. Gibbs says Munoz, swap Delo, Branthwaite 40 plus Maguire, Edison 60, Cunha 60, and Mbeumo 40. Sell 200 million, sell Rashford, Sancho, Anthony for 105 million. Fernandez, 20 mil sell-on clause, net spend 75 million with 5 better players. I mean, yeah, I don't know if we're going to get Munoz, and I don't think they're going to swap Delo, because I think Ruben rates Delo. I rate Delo. I think he's a good character to have in the squad, and he has good ability. You know, might not be elite, but I think he's a good player to have. And I don't know. I don't think we're interested in Branthwaite anymore, to be quite honest. I think that was, I mean, maybe it was from the club a little bit, but I haven't seen any links for Branthwaite. I think that ship has kind of sailed. I don't know if Ruben wants that. Maybe they're looking at somebody else. Edison has been one that has been mentioned, but again, it's gone kind of quiet around him. I think the last time we heard an Edison story, as far as I can remember, is weeks ago. So I think, again, we just got to wait. Let's get this deal over the line. Let's get this. I assume they're going to go for the striker now. And once we do those three, I think then we'll start looking and we'll start moving backwards a little bit. And, you know, we'll target a midfielder. And then I think hopefully there'll be some talks about the goalkeeping situation and we'll figure out what we're going to get there. Because I think United are going to do something with the goalkeeper. It's just what is going to happen with the goalkeeper. Is it going to be Onana out, direct replacement, or is it going to be Bienda sold and we're going to get in a number 2 that's going to push Onana and can actually take his spot? You know, so we got to see. Lumen says, so far, the 2 players themselves wanted to come, no role of INEOS. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know about Mbeumo. You know, I haven't seen that. But for sure Cunha, because he wanted to come. I mean, he always spoke highly about United even before INEOS were really making anything happen or anything like that. So Gibbs says Maguire, Rash, Sancho, and Ant, massive wages taken off the bill in the process of the 75 million net spend on 5 first-team players. It's all in the recruitment. Oh, 100%. I mean, I said this yesterday when we were talking. You know, I said if United, if we don't figure out how to recruit properly, we'll never do shit again. Because it is all about the recruitment at the end of the day. And that's why I tried not to focus too much on the manager. Because when I see my football club not operating properly as a football club, I just think that, you know, when you don't do standard things to create an environment for the squad and the including the manager, whoever it may be, to succeed, I think it's pointless going crazy about the manager. I mean, one manager might do better than the other, but in terms of getting the actual success that we want and that we demand, and having sort of a longevity or sustainability, you know, if we don't get the recruitment, there ain't no manager that's gonna come here and you know, do miracles. It's just not gonna happen. So, it's the quintessential key. We must get the recruitment right. We must get the recruitment right. And again, I've always said, listen, I don't like everything INEOS did. I don't like Sir Jim Ratcliffe. I don't like the guy. I didn't want him at the club, but I do like sort of more like you know, Omar and Wilcox and Vivell and stuff like that, because they're football people, and I like that we have at least football people compared to what we used to have. But I don't really like Sir Jim because I don't think he really has a clue as to what is actually, like, I don't think he's an actual football fan. He might say he is and stuff like that. I never believed the line when he said, you know, I'm a lifelong Manchester United fan. He's one of those people that strike me as, you ever have those people that, like, you know, you're super into football and like you're like, yeah, I'm a United fan, and they go, oh, me too, and then like you talk to them and they're like, yeah, you don't really watch the matches and you don't really have a clue what's going on. You're kind of just a casual. Like, that's how I feel like Sir Jim is. Like, there's no way you're a billionaire and you have time to like actually, you know what's going on with the sport. You might be a fan to some degree, but you ain't like, you're not to the level of some of us, for sure. Grace says, get a backup keeper. Forget a midfielder. Just get me Gyökeres. I don't want to hear we didn't get 8 players. All the players the fans said weren't good enough are leaving. There's nobody to blame. Well, I will say this, Grace. I mean, I do agree. And I think it'll give him the best chance. And I'll be happy for it. But I've always said as well, like, I still expect it to not go exactly perfect. It should be way better. It should be much better. and we should look a lot stronger, and we should perform better, and we should finish way higher for sure. There's no doubt about that. It can't be anywhere close to that. But I still feel like there's a way that, you know, we're going to have to be at least fighting between 4th and 6th or something like that. And making the changes, I hope this doesn't happen. But, like, you know, when you get 5, 6 players in, whatever, I mean, it might not click right away, right? So, not to say that we're going to be like, you know, 1 win in 8 matches or anything like that. I don't think that, but I'm just saying, like, to hit the actual heights, I mean, it might take a little bit to click because we're bringing in and we're changing the whole squad. And, you know, that usually generally for any team, I mean, you sort of look at, you know, even just Chelsea with all the players they bought and all the changes they made. Generally, when a team makes a lot of changes and they start a season with it, it doesn't usually click like that right away. So, I mean, we just got to see how it goes. For me, you know, I'll just see how it goes, but I hope it goes well. And I feel like, and I've always said that it'll give him the best possible chance to get good results and stay longer and build something. So Michael Owen says Conte 3-4-3 was more winger based, really not like our manager. We focus more number 10 3-4-3. Yeah, I think, but I'm interested to see because, I mean, Cunha is obviously one that he's going to be a more central figure. I don't expect Cunha to really end up somewhere on the wing like what's kind of been going on. In Mbeumo, you can argue that he might be one that does go out to the wing because he actually can play winger as well. So, different dynamics with different players. I've always said this, and that's why I said that Amorim needs more players, and we need players that have different characteristics. Because again, everybody says, you know, he has no like plan B or whatever, and I have always argued it's not a generic or normal type of plan B that a manager has, where they might be playing a 3-4-2-1, and then they switch it to like a 4-3-2-1 or 4-2-3-1 or something like that. His backup plans is to put in different players that play the game differently with different characteristics that can give you something, and then sort of change the shape, but you still keep the same sort of 3 at the back, but you change the positions, you change the players a little bit. They can play in a different way, and it can have an impact in the game. I mean, he's done it a couple times and it worked for him, where, you know, like the likes of, you know, pushing Maino further up and throwing Maguire up there. And stuff like that. So he tends to do more that than having like this so-called plan B of like, you know, completely changing the formation to something different. Brighton Nyambayo says we need midfielders like Baleba or Edison to compete in the Premier League. Yeah, we do. We need stronger. We need stronger. We need another midfielder. I mean, listen, Cass is going to stay here. Most of us would probably move him on, but he's going to stay here because there ain't no talk about Saudi, and that's the only one that would be able to afford him. So he's going to be here for 1 more year. So, but after that, I mean, you know, we got to look to the future. I mean, Cass is going to be here. He'll play a part in the squad, but we do need another midfielder because we need to strengthen that area. And also, you know, we need somebody for the next 4 or 5 plus years. So we do have to, you know, get somebody in. From there. Damn, you guys are going crazy. I literally can't even keep up with you guys. Chris says, I love my Delo, but even I know Ahmad suits that right wing back role better in this system. You have to play like a winger who defends rather than a full back who attacks. Delo for right center back or midfield. But listen, I mean, well, you know what? This season, I mean, considering because we're not going to be in Europe, we are going to be playing less games, so maybe the chances will be a little bit less than normal, because usually you would say, you know, we are going to have to rotate quite a lot and stuff like that. I think maybe we have to rotate less, obviously, now because we're playing less matches. But, you know, even if Ahmad is the starting right wing back, you know, Delo can still play a part, and he can still play right wing back as well. And it's not like Ahmad can play 90 minutes every single game anyway, even if we're not in Europe. So this this is just a team. And maybe Ahmad hits a period where he's playing like shit and he's struggling, and maybe Delo is really in form. And that's what I like. That's what I like to do. For me, just pick whoever's performing the best. Obviously, you go with who you think is the best, but as the season progresses, I mean, if Delo is performing like A1 and Ahmad ain't playing so good, then, Delo should probably be starting over Ahmad until Ahmad fights his way back in, or Delo slips in form or something like that. We should always be doing that. Ahmad can't defend. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. He presses quite well. He always gets back. He absolutely can. He can. For a winger, he can defend quite well. For a winger, I mean, he's not a defender, so he's not a masterclass, but you don't really, if we're playing the way we're supposed to play, and we're as clinical and threatening as we are supposed to be, you don't really need him to be a defensive expert. I mean, Trent wasn't a defensive expert. Trent was literally like, a right midfielder, and they were fine with it because they played, they executed quite well. KDL says, just goes to show, even in our darkest days, we can still attract players like Cunha and Mbeumo. We're massive, never forget it. Yeah, I mean, listen, we're lucky. I kind of feel like we're a bit lucky, because the way our club has gone, and it's not our fault. You know what I mean? It's not our fault. But the way our club has gone because of the Glazers and stuff like that, I mean, if it wasn't for Manchester United kind of being Manchester United, I think if it was any other team and this sort of shit happened to them, I don't think that team would be able to do the things that we're actually kind of still doing somehow, some way. I mean, like you said, KDL, perfectly, like, even in our darkest days, somehow we manage to find, even if it's a little bit of light, we find it somehow. But that's just our club. You only have to go and look back at, the Munich air disaster, or, even 99, where it looked like we were not gonna do the treble, and other stuff. So, and Amorim pointed that out as well. He said if there's one club that has always done it, that can do it, it's our club. And I think he was, I think he was right, and I like that bit very much because I've been saying that all along as well. So, Jamie's cat, I don't know, Catlis. I can't pronounce names. I suck. How does it work? He chose United, so United would buy him. Well, so for me, I'm probably just like, we were interested in him. We definitely had to make some sort of contacts, right? Because that's just like normal. That's a normal thing to do. We hit up the agent and we're like, yeah, we're interested in buying you. Is he interested in coming? The agent said whatever. We obviously, had back and forths. He gave it some thought. They probably also had some other interest. Sat down with his agent. They talked it about. He gave it a thought over, and he made the decision that, let United know that I'm interested in them the most, and now we will go to Brentford because we know that the player actually wants to join us. Because this is usually how it goes. We make sure that the player actually wants to join us before going to the club. Brentford have always said that, they would look for a sale. It would be for the right price, but they were open to a sale. So now that he has told us that he wants to join us, we will go to Brentford. We will, negotiate with Brentford. We will put in a bid, and, hopefully he gets accepted. And then he becomes our player. So Gibbs says Delo wouldn't get in any other big team and has been part of a crap United team for years. He's got a good attitude, but as a footballer, he's crap. Nah, I don't agree. I don't think he's crap. I don't think he's crap. I don't think he's crap. I think he's a good player to have in your squad, for sure. I don't think he's crap. For me, to be crap means that you can't be in the team in any aspect, and I don't think that's true. Chad says Kobe was captain preseason. I mean, that'd be kind of crazy if Kobe was the captain, 19, 20 years old. and I don't think we know what we're still doing with him. But it does seem like, I mean, it does seem like he's gonna go. It seems like just on Kobe, it seems like I think Amorim has chosen that he's gonna make him into a 10. I shouldn't have ate that spicy food. Um, Gibb says, dude, you guys are going nuts. Like, I literally can't keep up with the chat. Like, oh my God, I'm so far behind. I apologize. I'm doing my best, but you guys are making excellent points. And I want to get everybody's, statements and comments. Gibb says, when a player who's stalling on a contract for crazy wages, Mainu, gets rewarded with the captain's armband, you're in trouble. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen, though. He's too young. There's no way. Knowing Amorim, there's no way he would make Mainu the captain. There's no way, because I think actually Mainu, he's gonna play a part, for sure. But I think Mainu has to. I think Mainu's going from a thing where we were sort of overusing him or relying too heavily on him to where now he's gonna have to compete heavily to get into the squad, and he's gonna have to perform quite well. He's still gonna be a part, but I just don't think he's going to make a 19-year-old. It just doesn't make sense. You don't make a 19-year-old kid the captain of Manchester United. He's not going to do that. He's not going to do that. There's just no way in hell. Wesley Hall says, this is the kind of energy I want in the team. More senior and experience on the flanks for Garnacho and Ahmad to follow. Well, Garnacho is going to be gone, Wesley. So, he's going to be gone. Chad says he's not stalling, just waiting on the funds. Yeah, I don't, it's just normal negotiations, really. I mean, he has his wage demands, like every other player, and United have theirs, and they're negotiating. So, Grace says the captain has to be someone who is fit and starts every week. Can De Ligt stay fit? Well, that's the problem. That's why I kind of I kind of stuttered when I said De Ligt, because I think De Ligt has the acumen to be captain. I think he has already the experience, even at the age that he's at, because of how his career has gone so far and where he's played and the type of matches he's played in. So I think he can be. But the point that you made, Grace, is can he stay fit? And I don't know if he can. So it's because I agree, it has to be somebody who stays fit and starts every week, because you can't just have your captain going in and out of the team. It kind of makes it makes that captain sort of ineffective. Like, the captain has to be somebody that is reliable, essentially, injury wise and playing wise. So I don't know. That's why I think it'll be interesting, because it's like, who is he gonna actually make captain? And I think he might surprise a few people with the person he picks. What does a captain look like? Well, I don't think a 19-year-old, but maybe one day Manu can become captain. But I just don't think that's gonna happen. Can Man United bottle that Mbeumo deal? I mean, if they try to be cheap and they piss off Brentford, then yeah. But I think from a player perspective, probably not. I mean, I think the talks between Mbeumo and United, in terms of from the player's side and the club side, I think is already, like, the details are pretty much sorted. I think they've agreed to a certain extent on some basic stuff. So I don't think there's anything really to mess up there. I think where you would mess it up is negotiating with Brentford, and trying to lowball them too much. Or if Brentford tried to highball us too much, it could fall apart there, maybe. Get 250 million bid to get Vitinha. That would be damn nice. I mean, yeah, but also in our current situation, that would be quite stupid. Because it's not like we're one player missing from the piece. You know what I mean? Even though Vitinha, is balling out. No, I'd rather spend the 250 million. I know you're joking, but I would spend the 250 million on an entire squad. We'll give Onana captain maybe. I mean, if he wants to get relegated and get fired and get sacked, then yeah, yeah. If you want to lose your job, then give Onana the captaincy. Rajat says Newcastle United do have oil money. Yeah, but the thing about Newcastle United is that they can't use the oil money to the extent of the oil money that they want to use. You know, they have money, some type of money, but they can't do it because of PSR and FFP and shit like that. They don't have Newcastle. See, the thing is, like with United, and this is why many people wanted Qatar, because what happens is because United is such a giant brand and football club worldwide, we can get revenue into the football club like literally immediately, because we have the fan base. We have hundreds of millions of fans around the world. All the businesses like Adidas and whoever, I mean, they would be lining up to give us money to do sponsorship deals with us because we are a worldwide brand. We have the most eyes on us. We're the most talked about. Newcastle is nowhere near that. They don't have the sponsorship deals. They don't have the worldwide fan base. That sort of thing takes time. I mean, look how long it kind of took. I mean, and City, I still think they cheated and they did it, you know, illegally. But look how long it took them for them to actually start getting actual, real, legit money and not funneling it through fake, you know, offshore businesses set up by Abu Dhabi. So they have the money. They are the richest. They are owned by the richest people in the world. They have the most money. They actually can't access it right now. So the more better they do, and the more legit money they get, and the better they do over a period of time, the bigger deals and sponsorship deals they'll get, the more money they'll be able to pull in, the more money they'll be able to use over a longer period. But they're still sort of in a place where they're not like before, where under Mike Ashley, where they had absolutely nothing, but they have a good amount of money, but they're not using it to their full extent because they just can't. There's no way for them to do that. They would have to get some sort of a sponsorship deal, and you can't overinflate the sponsorship deal too much because they'll go after you for that as well. So Grace says, who said swap Delo? Get out. Chad says, why would you mention Onana when I mentioned Manu? Delo is elite. He's better than Yamal. Rajat says, will he talk to Thomas Frank to get him boom with the Man United quick? Well, it ain't about Thomas Frank. I mean, Thomas Frank is just, Thomas Frank's just the manager. It's whoever's, you know, director football or whatever at Brentford. You know, it's those people. Thomas Frank got nothing to do with it. Thomas Frank's just the guy that manages the squad. Chad says people need to learn from the South African rugby team and put a strong black man like Kobe captain. Yeah, but I mean, but he's a kid. I wouldn't even call him a man. He's literally a kid. He's a kid. He ain't ready for it. One day, I'd like him to be, Chad. I would, and I hope he does. But he ain't ready for that. It's not his time yet. It's not his time. Wesley says, sorry, boss, but Delo needs to go. He is always one mistake away from giving a goal. I don't know. I disagree with that. He occasionally loses man on runs or tracking back. I disagree with that. Again, I don't think he's like, again, I won't say he's elite. Like, he's not, like, you know, I'm not saying he's the best right back in the world, but I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's a bad player to have in your team. You know, I have no problem with Delo staying. I have no problem with Delo staying at all. I think he's a player that you can use for sure. Especially at this current moment in time. When we have a bunch of other players that need to go, or I would get rid of. I'd probably keep Delo around for at least another season or two at the very least, because I think we could, you know, we got to build the team out anyway, so maybe eventually, but I still think at this moment in time, I actually think, you know, he's fine. Yeah, who said Manu needs to leave? Manu does not need to leave. Luke Shaw as well. Well, I agree. Luke Shaw definitely has to go. Again, I think Luke Shaw, I mean, listen, when he was fit and he had his longest run of games, he was one of our most impactful and good performing players. But the fact that the guy can't stay fit and he got injured again right before the season ended, you know, that was pretty much it. I mean, I knew he was going to get injured again. I always said he would get injured again, but I mean, that's just, he's going to be there, and I refuse to like even acknowledge him anymore. Like, to me, he's like not even there. He doesn't count anymore. Luke Shaw literally doesn't count as a player, like as part of our squad. Like, I don't count him anymore. He'll be there and he'll get paid because there's literally no way for us to get rid of him. No one's going to come and buy him with that injury record. And he also strikes me as this guy that even if somebody did come to buy him, he'd probably rather just stay at United and collect his wage. So, we're just gonna have to stick with him until his contract runs out. There's nothing else. But I ain't talking about him in a serious manner anymore. Like he's gonna have some sort of, help or impact. With the team. Kobe was key in a few big games this season, even though he was injured most of the time due to international duty. Yeah, but again, I mean, it's fine if you think that Kobe should be the captain, but I'm saying I think that's like it's probably a 1% chance in my opinion. I just think there's no way that happens. I just think that there's no way that happens. KDL says big stumbling block on the Bruno move. His family don't want to move, looking for more and more likely he will be staying at United. Well, I didn't see that update, but I also, I wasn't able to check all the news. So, can you tell me who reported that, KDL? If you know, by any chance. Because, yesterday that was one of the things that, like, his family needed. They didn't say, like, his family was against it, but they said that, like, family needed to be convinced, I guess, or whatever, something along those lines. And KDS says breaking news: Bruno is not leaving Man United because of his family. Well, we'll find out in a second because I'm gonna check as well. Goldbridge just confirmed on Twitter. All right, I'll check it out in a second. Bruno's family is killing the club. That Balti goldfish. Rajat says Delo is clearer than Vinny, Rodrigo, and Mbappe. Take that as a joke. I ain't stumbling to find the words to defend Delo. That's just how I talk, man. That's just how I talk. Because I process things while we're live. And I didn't know we were going to have a Delo conversation today. So, no, again, for me, Delo is a good player. I have no problems with him. I'm not going to say he's an elite defender or anything like that, but again, I think when I look at the squad, I would use him for the next season or two for sure. There's no problems with that. I have no problems with that at all. I think, to have talent is one thing, but also I rate mentality and attitude quite highly as well, and availability, and he has those things as well. And also, he goes in and out of form, but when he's in form, and he's good. When he goes out of form, he ain't that good, and he struggles quite a lot. But Wesley says, I've said it time and time again, give Bruno a real attacking midfielder to team with and sit back and watch. Well, if he stays, we'll see, I guess, won't we? Let me see. Let me check what's going on. So we do have an update about Rasmus Hojlund as well. This one just says Rasmus Hojlund's agents have had meetings in recent weeks with regarding the striker's future. Inter Milan is set to have talks with the players' camp. Man United open to selling if they receive a reasonable offer. So, and this was there's another update also saying Rasmus Hojlund intends to stay at Manchester United this summer despite engaging in transfer talks with Inter Milan. Well, this is also the flip side. I mean, we can try to sell Rasmus and Inter can try to buy him, but if Rasmus wants to stay at United and try to fight for his future or his spot, and he can turn down every single offer there is, and he can end up staying at the football club. So, I think some people are going to be quite furious at that. For me, I've always said we need two strikers, and we're not going to buy two strikers. So I don't, if he stays, I don't necessarily have a problem as long as we get the striker that we need. I mean, if we get the striker that we need, I don't care what he necessarily does, because if he stays and he's on the bench, it's just an extra option. It's just an extra guy. If he can, get some good form and score some good goals, it's a plus for us. Doesn't really matter. But there's no way in hell that we should be, with him, just him again. I mean, we need obviously the striker. So, we need the striker for sure. What else are we looking at? Yes. Okay, I see what KDL was saying here. So, who is this? Sasha Tavoleri, who is a journalist. I think he's Belgium of some sort. I don't know who he works for. Let me see if I could see this. He's a media personality. He has a YouTube channel. So, he has put out saying Bruno Fernandes' family are not convinced about moving to Saudi Arabia. Well, I mean, that might have a huge impact, and maybe he doesn't go because of that, but I don't think that means that that's necessarily not happening. Because, I mean, shit happens. His family could not be convinced. It depends how Bruno handles the situation. I mean, he can be like, my family doesn't want to go, so I'm going to do things for my family. He could put his foot down and say, well, we're fucking going. It's going to be temporary and deal with it. Sometimes shit happens. So, until the news comes out that says Bruno Fernandes has rejected the Saudi bid and he's staying at Manchester United, I think it's still open. The pendulum has swung back a little bit to him staying with that, because obviously that does have an impact to some sort of level and degree for sure. So, and here we go. We were talking about this earlier. I forgot who asked me. I think it was Lumen who asked me. I think Lumen asked me, why'd they choose United. So, Jay Harris, who is a Tottenham Hotspur reporter for The Athletic, and appears on VFTL podcast, has put out saying Bryan Mbeumo supported Manchester United as a child, which might partially explain why he wants to join them. So there you go. We've managed to get two good Premier League players, Premier League proven players, solely because they rate Manchester United as a football club in its totality. And they have a soft spot for a football club. So, sometimes you just need a little bit of luck. And sometimes it goes your way. And sometimes it don't, and you get fucked. But, don't you think the goalkeeper spot is really serious? I think it's an important position. I don't put it above the striker, though. I don't put it above the striker. I think the striker is more serious. I do understand that we do need a change there, and we should do a change, and I hope we can do a change, but if you give me the option between we can only do a striker or goalkeeper, I'm picking the striker. Because that's just how I am. I'm an attack-minded type of guy, and I will try to outscore the opponent. If Onan is making one mistake a game that leads to a goal, score 3 fucking goals. Outscore the opponent. It's part of the football. Part of the football. Yeah, thanks KDL for that update, by the way. Spot on, Wesley. I'm also looking just to see, because there was a lot of stuff coming out while I was speaking and I wasn't looking, so maybe they dropped extra tidbits in here. Sky Sports, Seth, or whatever his name is, saying Manchester United aims to act quickly in the market to give Ruben Amorim more time with his players before the new season. Well, that is what we all want, and that's what we've all been asking for I don't know how many seasons it's been now, but I mean, that's just standard shit. I mean, it's the same reason as to why Liverpool are basically on the brink of doing 3 deals already, and they've won the Premier League, because get the players in and have them there ready for preseason. You know, like we got Ugarte in at the end, and Ugarte couldn't even get up to speed until the end of November, early December. He didn't have a preseason in general, but then he also didn't have a preseason with us. Get the players in as quickly as possible so that they adjust faster and it takes them less time. You know, the more time that they have with the team training and even playing preseason matches, the faster they get adapted, the better it'll be for us. We don't have to wait so long into the season for that shit to start happening. Maybe we could actually, for once, you know, I think, you know, I kind of blame Ten Hag for this, but thinking about it now, I still blame him because, you know, he was the manager and he has a hand in that, but probably partial of the reason or partial of the fault was, you know, the players that were getting signed for him. We would do a bunch of deals quite late and they would come to the team. So they basically missed the preseason, and, you know, sometimes the season already started, and now we got to get these players and basically, you know, put training wheels on them while we're playing Premier League matches that have consequences with points and stuff like that. So, I mean, if we actually manage to get basically all of our signings in before preseason actually starts, and we have our signings in and we're doing preseason with them, then I think we should stand an even better chance than, you know, we usually do, and we should have a stronger start to the season for sure. Lancer Evil says Onana has the skill moves of a rubber duck on a roller skate. But why would he have skill moves? He's a goalkeeper. Wesley says serious focus on sales needed on Deadwood now, not a joke approach. No, 100%. I mean, that's to me, it's straightforward. I mean, they don't really have a choice whether they really want to or not. I think ramifications of not being in Europe, number one, has forced their hand anyway, but also, you know, losing the money has forced their hand as well. But third of all, I mean, it's just needed. You know, it's just generally it was needed, regardless of if we were in Europe or not, and we won the Europa League or not. It had to be done. So I don't think they actually have a choice. I think they have to do it, and they're gonna have to get it done, for sure. So, yeah, Mail Sport reporting as well. I mean, a bunch of different sources are reporting this thing about Højlund. Inter Milan are stepping up their interest in Rasmus Hojlund and have made contact with his entourage, and want to ascertain a price from United over the coming days. Well, we'll find out. Let's see what United want. But that one story that says that Rasmus is going to want to stay, I think also makes it quite interesting. So, I think it makes it quite interesting. I mean, you know, Mbeumo. Yeah, and I said yesterday, because we had this discussion, we were talking about Mbeumo, we were talking about Tyler Dibbling, and you know, some people saying that they prefer Dibbling, and I said that I think Dibbling is more sort of like a Garnacho replacement, and Mbeumo is one that probably has the characteristics that fit the system a little bit more, specifically towards Ruben, and gives you sort of a different dynamic. You know, and listen, he's prime age, he's prem proven, 28 GA last season. He's a hardworking player in the league. I mean, statistically and stuff like that, and tactically, he fits it perfectly. And he's gonna be R10, and I think that means Ahmad, right wing back. I think that right hand side is quite dangerous when I see that, when I think about it in that way. Mateus Cunha and Ahmad started following each other on Instagram. You care about that sort of stuff, but somebody reported it. The United fans are just going crazy. I mean, people posting on We finished 15th in the Prem. We have no European football yet. Mateus Cunha and Bryan Mbeumo still wanted us. I mean, we got to celebrate something because it wasn't a season to celebrate really anything. And it was a season of depression and just shit. So I mean, we're gonna celebrate something at some point. I'm just scrolling through news to see if there's anything we didn't cover. I know there was some stories before this whole Mbeumo thing kind of exploded all over the internet. By the way, if you didn't hit the like button, please make sure you hit the like button because it's important to the channel and it gets pushed out there. So please just smash that like button for us if you can. Greatly appreciated. And we are on our way to 3,500. We just hit 3,000 subscribers like two shows ago. So we're climbing, we're moving, and we're doing good things. Let me find one of these aggregators. Let me get some of the news before, I guess, since this news has kind of stopped. And we covered all the news that was coming out live. Now, somebody posted what Amorim said last month, and he said, if a player only wants to come to Manchester United to play UCL, then he won't come. We want players who want to represent United, not players who want to play certain competitions. I mean, I remember him making that statement. And mostly a lot of people agreed with it. Some people had, disagreement. But I think most people received that quite well. I'm trying to find this other, where's the other news? Yeah, there was this the Mitrovic story. United are considering a move for Al Hilal's Alexander Mitrovic after missing out on Liam Delap. I mean, there's no way in hell you get Cunha, you get Mbeumo, and then you go and get Mitrovic, unless they sell Rasmus and Mitrovic is a backup striker, and then we get another striker because I don't know how Mitrovic will cost, but I can't assume that. I would assume that it ain't going to be anything crazy. Assume he's got to be cheap. I would assume he's got to be cheap for sure. There's just no way. So yeah, we also got this story this morning, but it's from Char Dunker. I don't really know this guy, but he said that Amorim sees Cunha as playing in either one of two either of the two number 10 positions or slightly further back in a more defensive role. I mean, I think that guy is smoking something that he shouldn't be smoking because I don't believe that for a second. I don't think Amorim's going to try and play Cunha slightly further back in a more defensive role. I don't know what that means. Why would you do that? He doesn't play there. It's not his thing. I don't get that. I don't even know how he would know that. How the fuck would you know that? So I think that's a load of shit. I don't think we'll see that at all. I really don't. But where is there was a story I saw earlier today when I was at work, and I can't find it. I kind of wanted to talk about it. Well, yeah, okay, so Fabrizio gave the original update about Rasmus and said Inter Milan has made contact with Rasmus Hojlund's camp in recent days, and talks have started. So let's see what happens with Rasmus. Because probably most of our fan base would sell him. Again, I don't really care to the point that as long as we get the striker, because regardless, we need a striker. I would prefer to have two. I don't think we'll buy two. So I'd prefer to have two. But I just want the striker that we need. And then, whatever happens with Rasmus happens. I mean, if he stays and he has another season, whatever. I feel like it can't really hurt us considering he won't be the main guy. So If anything, what if the new striker we get gets injured? At least we have somebody that plays striker. There. Yeah, apparently there was a story as well that Cheetah Obi helped convince Aiden Heaven to join Manchester United, while Wilcox was central to convincing him the pathway to the first team prosperity was at Old Trafford and not Arsenal. And then there was like a story that apparently the Manchester United's hierarchy are using Aiden Heaven and Cheeto Obi to attract other top academy players. Basically, it's kind of selling them the dream of like, look, these are two kids. They didn't have a chance. They were at Arsenal Football Club. You come here, you have an opportunity and a pathway, and it could be you next, like these two guys. So I mean, it's not bad. It's a smart move to do, and we should be doing things like that. And obviously, we should be doing it not even just for the top academy players, but also for transfer targets as well. So, but Ben Jacobs, this is where I was looking for. So this thing that came with Mitrovic. And by the way, now I'm definitely against this because I'll explain in a second, but. Ben Jacobs 8 hours ago said Manchester United are also considering a move for Mitrovic while Gyökeres remains the dream target. So we obviously want Gyökeres. I mean, get me Gyökeres. I mean, if they somehow manage to get Gyökeres, and we have Cunha and Mbeumo and Gyökeres, everybody's gonna lose their shit. But Ben Jacobs followed it up by saying Mitrovic is available for around 40 million and is even prepared to take a pay cut. I think no, you stay there. You stay there. For 40 million. For 40 million. Are they having a laugh? 40 million for fucking shitty Mitrovic. I wouldn't even I'd pay like 10 for the guy. Maybe. I don't even want him. I don't even know if I would pay it. But if I had to pay it, pay like 15, maybe at most. 40 for you? No, there's no chance. I would take that 40 and buy somebody else. 110%. Bloody Mitrovic. Not the story I wanted to hear. We also had, oh no, that was from the other day, so that's done and dusted. I want to see, are we still getting updates? So we did just get an update. Jadon Sancho's representatives were asking for 200,000 a week from Chelsea. Chelsea won't go anywhere near that, likely to be 110 to 140k. I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. I swear to God, if this guy fucks up this deal, for us, I'm gonna lose my shit. I will literally make a 15-20 minute rant video about Jadon Sancho. I'm going to lose my shit. Stop being a prat. Stop being a jackass. You're asking for 200,000 a week. You ain't that good. You're shit. Take your money, fuck off to London, stay in blue, and, go do whatever freedom does over there. Just leave. Get out. Get out. This guy, it's people asking for 200,000 a week. Bro, you ain't getting that money. We shouldn't even have gave you the money we gave you when you came here. You ain't that good. Like, somebody's got to tell this guy. His head is filled with nonsense. He thinks he's a fucking just baller. You ain't a baller. You're shit, dude. You're shit. You're shit. You have a shit mentality. You have a shit attitude, and you ain't that good. You played in the Bundesliga, and you scored some goals in the Bundesliga. But you can't cut it in the Prem, bro. You can't cut in the Prem, bro. Pussy says, well, the only way to go to try and outscore the op with the likes of Onan. Oh, absolutely. Hell. Wesley says, to be honest, dude, I don't think Garnacho is leaving. I think he is. I don't think he's staying. I don't think so. The way he's acting, and I always said, Ruben used him a lot because Ruben didn't have any options. I mean, he was already down 2 players because he loaned them out. And we didn't replace them. I mean, we got a left wing back in, but we needed a left wing back anyway. That didn't replace Rashford or Anthony. And I think Garnacho played the amount of games and played the amount of minutes because Ruben didn't have a choice. But I think if Ruben had options, I don't think Garnacho would have ever played that amount of minutes. I don't think Garnacho would have ever played as many matches and started as many matches as he would. So Ruben might not necessarily be against selling him, but it's also then about how Garnacho handles the situation and acts. And if he acts like a jackass and he acts like an immature kid and does stupid shit, like going to the media and saying stupid things and posting shit on Instagram, and having a bad attitude, then Ruben will tell him to get the fuck out. And it's just simple. Played and scored in the final. That's why he feels this way. Yeah, I mean, no, but he's. I mean, but you can tell by the way he acts, like the way he, like things that he does on social media, the posts that he does, and I'm talking about Sancho now, but you know, even the way he handled the Ten Hag situation, and he was, you know, pretty much like, he lied on my name, and he basically said fuck the manager, and he said I'm bigger than the manager and I'm bigger than the club. Bow down to me because of what he did. I mean, you know, he wrote a fucking notes post and left it up on his account for a whole week. So he's one of those guys, you know, one of those guys. And to a certain extent, I mean, every player has an ego, but he's literally just a jackass when it comes to it. He's a jackass. He literally is. So, but something that's interesting that doesn't, it's not anything that really necessarily has to do directly with United, but you know, Al Hilal, who are obviously the ones that are trying to get Bruno. Fabrizio has just said Al Hilal increasingly confident in getting Simeone Inzaghi's green light in the next 24 to 48 hours. So they are going to get Inzaghi as a manager, and these guys are going quite crazy. I mean, they're trying to pull off some big deals and some big, you know, moves before the Club World Cup, because I think they're trying to win that thing. Like they're super serious about it. So it's also kind of going to be on a world stage, so they want to kind of perform and impress, maybe to get more people to watch their league and stuff like that. So, I mean, apparently Cesc Fabregas remains on the main names on Inter's list, but depends on Como. So, we'll see. Yeah, that's not a fair comment though, because Garnacho has way higher ceiling than Mount. So, what does that mean? How is that not a fair comment? What's not a fair comment? What does Garnacho have anything to do with Mount? Garnacho is Garnacho. Mount is Mount. Ruben likes Mount because Mount plays a position and plays football the way that Ruben wants for his system, and he likes Mount's attitude, and he likes Mount's mentality. And I think with Garnacho, it's quite obvious he dropped him immediately, because Garnacho is a selfish player. Even though he's 19 and he might have potential and his ceiling could be higher, he's still a selfish player, and his attitude isn't correct, and the way he handles himself isn't correct. And you know, if you don't understand that's something about Ruben, it's not just about ability. If you don't have correct mentality and attitude, and you ain't a team player, you're not staying in his team. Doesn't matter who you are, you're not staying there. You are considered essentially a virus to what he is trying to the sort of to the ethos that he's trying to build, the culture that he's trying to build in the team, and he will not keep you. So again, things happen. I mean, he dropped him out. I think Garnacho responded okay the first time because he brought him back in and he was willing to work with him. But I still don't think, if he had more options, I don't think he would have started as many matches as he did. I don't think he would have played as many matches or as many minutes as he did, because I think he would have preferred to use other players. And we saw that in the final, because as soon as Mount got more fit and was able to play more, he threw Garnacho away and he picked Mount. So, Gibbs says, tough call, Wesley. Does Garnacho have a higher ceiling than Mount, or is Mount just so injury prone we forget he's actually good? I mean, still, again, I think it's irrelevant because Garnacho has nothing to do with Mount, and Mount has nothing to do with Garnacho. They're two individuals, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just about who Garnacho is as a player and how Garnacho handles himself in situations. Like, they were not happy with Garnacho giving the interview that he gave after the final. They were not happy with the way Garnacho acted in public or behind the scenes. So shit happens, you know? These are moments and periods that have determining factors for players. If you react poorly, if you make a stupid decision, that has an impact on how the manager views you. And if the manager then ultimately decides, is this a player that I want on my team or not? Sometimes it's not, you know, it's not always about talent. Again, you can have the most amazing talent. If you have a fucking shitty attitude and a shit mentality, you're just as bad as somebody that has shit ability. You're literally useless. This is a team sport and a team aspect. You know, the only exception is if you happen to be on the level of Cristiano Ronaldo, where you can be selfish, you can be a lot more arrogant than usual, and people let it slide because he's scoring you 3 goals a game. Your team is down, you know, 2-0 going to the second leg of Champions League final, and Ronaldo scoring 3 goals and winning the match by himself. Nobody else is doing that though, so it happens. It happens. Lion says Garna can be a great player, but he's not a team player. Yeah, and he could become a team player because I still think he's young enough, but the fact is he's not right now. He's not. He's fairly selfish. And also, again, he doesn't handle situations the best. He's kind of an emotional guy. We've seen it before when he got abused from one of the fans going to the match, and he lashed out at him, and then he scored a goal in the I don't know if it was that match or the next match. He scored a goal. He didn't celebrate. They asked him why he didn't celebrate, and he said because he was sad because of the interaction with the fan. And everybody's like, bro, like, we get that's not nice, but like that shit happens all the time, dude. Like, you know, celebrate your fucking goal. But there's been instances that have popped up, and I don't think he's handled them quite good, or appropriately. I mean, even David Beckham had words during the PSG game because he was on CBS, and he essentially called out Garnacho without calling out Garnacho. But he said there's 1 or 2 players in there. He said, I don't like what I see from them off the field. They're not representing the badge properly. They're disrespecting fans. You know, Garnacho flipped somebody off at a meet and greet when they were in Asia. Why? You don't do things like that. That's what I'm saying. Comes back, puts up an Instagram post when the optics aren't looking good. He doesn't read the room, and he says, finally, with a laughing face, basically, I can take a vacation. Like, you do understand that people aren't really on your side already, and that's not going to come across quite well. So, yeah, Ruben doesn't like those things. He wants you to be a serious player. Doesn't need extra bullshit, you posting stuff and saying things. He doesn't got time for any of that. He won't tolerate that shit. He won't tolerate that shit. Yeah, and what happened in the final with that choice? Bro, Wesley, there's no way you're going to tell me we lost that game because Garnacho didn't play. Because the entire team played like shit. The entire team, the whole team played like shit. Garnacho wasn't going to win us that game. Because he ain't that guy. He ain't that guy. He's not the guy. He's not going to carry the whole team on his back. We lost that match because we have a squad that can't compete against Premier League teams. And he did get it wrong, though, in the midfield. I will admit that. I think he should have just went with Cass and Ugarte. I think that was probably one of the things that fucked it up. But, yeah, there's no way. Um, all right, all right, all right. Yeah, thank you, Grace, for that. She says, "Respect one another, everyone, or get banned." Yeah, I mean, you tone it down a notch in there. I don't know why we're talking about like race and shit. There's no need for that. We're talking about football. This isn't politics and shit. We don't need race. I mean, you'll get timed out. These are things that we don't talk about here. We talk about football. You could disagree all you want. It doesn't matter in that opinion, but we don't need to be having this sort of discussions. This is just nonsense. So, um, relax and change the topic. Because you will get timed out. I won't ban you unless you say something you're not supposed to. But just drop the conversation. Just drop it. I mean, it's literally just Chad. Let it go. Stop talking about that shit. Let it go. Don't even respond, Gibbs. I mean, there's no reason to be talking about this. I mean, I don't even know what you guys. I don't even know why we're talking about this. It literally makes no sense. It makes no sense. Makes no sense. Just let it go. Wesley says, isn't his age taken into factor? That's immaturity, though. I mean, it could be, Wesley. It could be. I mean, maybe it should be. I've always kind of said that. To his defense, I try to be fair. I don't have an agenda. I don't have an agenda against Garnacho. I don't even. It's not like I hate him or anything. I have his kit upstairs. Um, but I just call out kind of what I see, and it could be because I've always said that. I'm like, well, maybe he grows out of it because he is young, and it could be. It could become a player that's not necessarily selfish, and he could become a player that isn't so overtly emotional and handles situations better. He could be because he's a young guy. And hopefully, at least my hope was for him that he would grow out of that. And I felt like that maybe he could. But I just feel like the way things transpired, and the way things are being reported, I think there's a very, 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 very good chance that he's going to be sold. So I don't think he'll stay here at this moment in time. I just don't think he'll. I just don't think he'll stay here. I just don't think it'll be that sort of thing. I think he's probably going to end up going because there was already talk about it in January, and we were kind of. I think the reason why it didn't necessarily happen in January was because we were down Rashford and Anthony, and you might say like, yeah, we didn't want those players, but it was more about just like personnel, like bodies. Like we didn't have replacements for those guys in terms of actual like players in the squad. And if you sold Garnacho for 50 million or 60 million in January, we would have had to go sign somebody because then we would have been down, Garnacho, Rashford, and Anthony. But we would have lost 3 attacking players. And obviously, as you've seen, we struggled in the season in our attack and with the attacking players and to score goals and stuff. And I feel like they probably, whoever they wanted to sign, or maybe the person that they were looking to sign, or they would have signed, maybe wasn't available, or the deal just couldn't be done. So they kind of just were like, even if we sell him, you know, we're going to be down a guy and we're not going to be able to get in the person that we need to get in. So we can't actually even do this deal. And then I kind of feel like, you know, they did a professional sort of thing where Ruben was like, well, I'm going to have to use him. And I think he kept it fairly cordial. And also, to be fair, Ruben's always said, I mean, he said to the likes of Casemiro, he said that I'm not that type of guy that you can't necessarily come back. Like if you are there, if you are available, like, so I feel like he kind of gave him the opportunity from that period to the end of the season. And he was like, you know, kind of prove to me, I guess, why I should keep you or whatever. And I think it went decently okay up till, you know, there was some matches where he was very, very selfish. And I think Amorim was probably fuming at that. But there was also, again, we had a lack of options. Once we lost Xerxes, it was an issue and stuff like that. And then the way it ended, I don't think that ended quite well. So I just feel like he's gonna go. Grace says, remember Anthony, Rashi, and Garnacho are going. So we are just replacing them. Yeah. Wait, what? Anthony, Rashi, and Garnacho are going. So we are just replacing them. Yeah. I mean, but yeah, that's what we need to do anyway, right? I mean, that was one of our problems for me, Grace. Like I was just saying, like, you know, he made the determination and was like, you know, Anthony could go, and because he ain't going to be part of the plans one way or another, it ain't going to work, and he ain't going to play, and we need to figure out how we're going to, you know, sell him or how we're going to get some money. I think he made that determination on Anthony quite early. Maybe, you know, Wilcox and the others as well, because they were like, his time here has been abysmal. So they were like, we got to get him out because we got to get him to play football. Probably came from Wilcox, to be honest. Was like, the best thing we could do is loan the guy out, and hopefully he performs so that we could sell him. Because I think they made the decision on Anthony quite early. They were like, this guy's just not going to fit in this thing. There's no point in keeping him, and he hasn't had a good time since he was here. So kick him out the door. And then I think the thing with Rashford, obviously Rashford already had his problems. I don't think Rashford, whatever he did in training behind the scenes or whatever, clearly like Ruben didn't like it one bit and was like, nah, get him out too. And once he did that, I think he gave Garnacho a little bit of a benefit of the doubt sort of thing, because he is a young guy. Like Wesley was saying, like he is, you know, he is a young kid. And, you know, he dropped him and then was willing to work with him and see how, you know, he reacts to it and how it goes. And I think he's given him multiple opportunities and multiple chances. And I think sometimes he handled it well, but I think the other times he didn't handle it so well. And I feel like the times they didn't handle it so well, they kind of outweigh the times that he did handle it well. And I just don't know. I feel like to me that ending, the ending, that whole thing, pretty much what he said after, you know, the Europa League final, what he said, I don't even know if he was allowed to even speak to the media. That's another thing. Like, I don't even know if he was given, because you need to have permission to do that. The club usually gives you permission to do those sorts of things. I don't even know if he had the permission to do that. I feel like he didn't, because I feel like, even for me personally, like if I was there and I could, without actually knowing him and what I can read from like the instances that have happened, what I can read from like, you know, watching him on TV, again, he seems like a fairly overly emotional sort of person compared to some other people. If I was there, he's, after the final and the season we just had, he's the last player that I'm sending or that I'm okaying to go talk to the media. There's not a chance in hell that I would let him anywhere near a camera or microphone. There's zero chance. So I don't know if he was allowed to do that. Maybe he was. And if he was, I think it was stupid, because he gave the response that he gave. I wasn't surprised by it because his character. But when he said what he said, and then the way it's kind of gone over, even when they went to Malaysia and acted the way he did, and even when he got back, I just kind of feel like Ruben might be a bit fed up with him. He might be a bit fed up with us, and the club and the manager, and we're not in a good position. So he might be looking at the situation and going, "This is quite shit," and I want out. You know, it might not even be solely down to just Ruben at this point, because it might be partly Ruben, partly Garnacho, you know? And then there's also United that are like, we still need money and you're pure profit. And if we get a good deal, we won't be against selling you as well. So Gray says Cunha and Mbeumo, striker wing back in midfield that replaces Højlund, Garnacho, Rashford, Anthony, and Bruno. Yeah. Yeah. I'm still interested with the Bruno thing though, because I don't think the midfielder necessarily, I mean, like, I don't think the midfielder necessarily like replaces Bruno, because the midfielder we've always linked with one before any of this Saudi Arabia thing came about. So before any of this Saudi Arabia thing came about, the plan was to keep Bruno Fernandes, and Amorim wants to keep Bruno Fernandes. Again, like, we have to remember that. Like, Amorim does not want to sell Bruno. He wants to keep Bruno. He wants to use Bruno. He rates Bruno very highly. But Bruno might want to leave, and then there's the people at the club that are like, well, listen, 100 million for a 31-year-old when we just lost 100 million from not getting into Europa, to Europe. I mean, we should probably take a look at it, even though they say that United don't really want to sell him. But I'm like, I don't. You might not want to, but I feel like even if you don't want to, I think the club is still in a position that you might have to now. Whereas before, they were hoping they wouldn't have to be in this position, so they can pretty much have their cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? So we don't need a Bruno replacement. We need a proper central midfielder. I agree 100%, Grace. And I think I would go so much as far to say, I see a lot of people say this, Grace. I do. I see a lot of people say, you know, how do you replace Bruno Fernandes? Like, we can't replace him. And my argument has always been, getting rid of Bruno, the whole point is it's not to replace him. It's to change the dynamic of the squad. It's to build something different. It's to build something new. It's not, you know, we're not selling Bruno to get 100 million to go spend the 100 million on somebody that's going to be, you know, just as good or better than Bruno. The point of selling Bruno has always been, you know, for most people, you know, Chad would sell him for a packet of crisps, but that's, you know, that's a different story. But everybody else that wasn't necessarily considering it, you know, before, like myself, I wasn't necessarily considering it. The point in selling Bruno for the 100 million is to use the money to build the squad up. And so if you're doing that, it's not about replacing Bruno Fernandes, because you're not going to replace him. Bruno is his own kind of player. I mean, there's not really somebody that plays the way he does. He plays, I don't know what the word is. Special. I don't think it's not really the best word for it, but it's unique. He plays in a unique way. You're not going to get somebody that plays like that. And the point that why we're selling him is so that we could actually build a team, one that works well together. And so really, I mean, you replace Bruno Fernandes, not directly, but indirectly, you replace Bruno Fernandes with a stronger squad. Gray says the problem with Bruno next to Ugarte is as soon as he plays the ball forward to the wide player, he wants to join the attack rather than support Ugarte. So Ugarte has to cover his area and Bruno's area. Yeah, I agree. And I've admitted as well, like, I don't think Bruno necessarily fits Amorim system. Again, I think he's a good player, and he definitely gets you goals and assists, and he definitely has big impacts for the team in the season. I mean, you go look at his statistics over the 6 years. I think he's had 20 something plus GA every single season that he's been here. So he clearly has impacts on the season in big ways, and in matches in big ways. There's no doubt about that. But I don't actually, when I look at the way Bruno plays, and I look at how Amorim is trying to play football, I don't think he necessarily fits it well. It just happens to be that he kind of slightly enters that threshold of, he has certain problems or issues that, like, maybe he doesn't necessarily fit the system, or he does too many Hollywood passes, but it's minimized. It's not as big as an issue because he's this guy that has big impacts. He does get goals, he does get assists, and he does get many of them throughout the season. So it's not as bad. I mean, like, for example, if Bruno was getting about 5 goals and 6 assists in a season, and he's doing the things that he's doing, where sometimes he's undisciplined, sometimes he makes crazy, wild, ridiculous passes and stuff like that, Hollywood passes and stuff like that. If he was doing all those other things that people hate, and he was getting 4 goals and 6 assists a season, then everybody would be like, get this guy the hell out of here, because he's doing more damage than good. But I think because he has impacts in matches where he's getting quite numerous amounts of goals or assists, or he creates a lot of chances, that sort of stuff, some people still have an issue with it, obviously, but it gets minimized because it's just like, well, he does do those things, but like, play a match, Bruno gets a goal and assist, and throughout the match, he wasn't that great. He wasn't that disciplined. He made some shitty passes. He gave away possession a lot, but he managed to get a goal and assist. So people are like, yeah, he did those things, but listen, he got a goal and assist. He helped us get a win. So, win is a win. How can Bruno be irreplaceable if other teams play better football with creative players? So we can't buy a player out of the hundreds better than us to replace him. Okay. Because again, the way he plays is unique. It's not, and we're not gonna. He's irreplaceable because when people say he's irreplaceable, I don't think there's a player out there at in this current moment in time as Manchester United, where we're sitting, where we're going to be able to go. I think when people say he's irreplaceable, I think they're talking about 3 main things, Chad. I think they're talking about goals, assists, and I think they're talking about chances created. And I think that's what they're saying. Like, there is no player out there that we can go get that's going to give us the same output in goals and assists and chances created. I think that's what they mean. Because to do that, somebody said the other day, it's probably somebody like Florian Wirtz. And Wirtz is going to Liverpool. And also, I mean, the only reason why we're selling Bruno is to get 100 million. So we can buy players for the squad. So that's why I disagree with their sort of argument against it. Because the whole reason to sell Bruno is it's not because people are saying, I mean, I know you say it, Chad, but the rest of us, the majority of us, we're people that we actually like Bruno, but we're still willing to sell him because we understand the ramifications of the club and how the club needs money. And actually, you sacrifice one player so you can actually build the squad much better. That's our take on it. The other people, they see him way too important, and they think that by him going, we won't be able to get somebody that's going to be able to give us the same output. And if we can't get somebody that gives us the same output, then their head, we're not going to be as good because he's sort of the main hub. Even though we're shit, he's still the main hub. He still creates the most chances in the team. He still had the most goals. He still had the most assists. He is the main guy, whether you like it or not. To get that sort of level, we would probably have to go spend that 100 million. And I don't think we can actually pull that player anyway. So, but I don't agree with them, because the whole point in selling Bruno is to get 100 million and buy 4 players out of it. It's not to get a player. It's not to sell Bruno and get somebody in that plays Bruno's position and be like, this is the replacement for Bruno Fernandes. That's not what we're doing. If we sell Bruno, it's about buying 4 players in 4 different positions, because we have 100 million in our hand that we didn't have before, and now we can go buy the players that we need. Other clubs are playing better with players that can't replace Bruno. That makes sense. Grace says, under Ten Hag, Bruno at times was in the left back position with his free role. We can't have that if we want to play like a team. I agree, Grace. I agree. That's why I say he doesn't actually fit Ruben's system, because he's sort of this wild, I would say like Wild West kind of player. Like, he does do a lot of free roaming and stuff. And I think actually for the team and for the shape, it doesn't work well. I think Chad says that too, but you know, he just seems to focus on that a lot more than, you know, what I'm talking about. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think he actually fits. I don't actually think he fits the Ruben system. It's just the fact that, again, he's a high impact player. He has a lot of goals, he has a lot of assists, and he creates a lot of chances. He's undisciplined, and he makes, you know, Hollywood passes and gives the ball away, and everybody knows that. Some people choose that they don't value that as detrimental. Some people look at it and like, well, he gets goals and assists and he creates chances, and that's good enough for me. I mean, that's up to them. But, you know, Gibbs says fair enough, but other clubs do have better players around them. So, for example, Bruno's stats this season beat KDB career's best in a off-the-scale crap United side. Who can't play like him? Okay. Get me a cam, Chad. This is what I'm trying to tell you that these people are saying. I'm not saying this. I have a totally different, it has nothing to do with if he's good or not. I literally just look at it as a pure business decision. He's a 31-year-old player that we could get 100 million for, and we could use to build a squad. I sell him. I don't care. Good, bad, whatever. But I'm telling you, the people that say that we can't replace him, their argument is, what midfielder that plays his position, so Cam, are you going to go get that's going to get you whatever his stats are this season? That's what they're arguing. That's their argument. I'm trying to find his stats so I could just be accurate when I make the statement, because I don't even know. In all comps. I can't even get in all comps. Um, on it. He says, so Bruno had better players around him. I say that this Chad, but take the 100 million for him. Just interesting to hear an anti-red Bruno, not something you come across a lot. Well, there's people that there is Gibbs. There's people. Bruno is quite divisive. Many people like him. Many people like him in the fan base, but there's quite a lot of people that don't like Bruno because of the things that Chad says. And I don't necessarily disagree with Chad, but again, at the end of the day, some people value the things that Chad value very highly, and because of that, they don't rate him. And other people look at it in a different aspect in terms of goals, assists, and chances created and stuff like that, and they value that much higher, and they think that's more important, so they rate him very highly. You know, I mean, but I can't. But I mean, you can kind of say that because I'm sure there's players out there that play literally the amount close to the amount of games that he plays. Maybe there might be only a couple that are doing the numbers he's doing. So that's what I'm trying to say. Their argument is, well, look at the players that's there, and they clearly rate goals, assists, and chance created a lot higher than you do. So they're like, well, if you get rid of him, because in their mind, again, I don't agree with it, because it's not the reason why we're selling Bruno. They're looking at it in a different way. But they're like, if we sell Bruno, we have to replace him, and I disagree with that. I don't think we need to replace him, because I don't think we need to go and get a player. There's no point. There's no point in replacing Bruno. There's no point to getting another Bruno or a player that plays the same position that's better than Bruno. There's no point. The point to selling Bruno is to get the money to build the squad. It's to get 4 or 5 players out of there. So, but as far as I know, I mean, we could probably look up a list of players that have played almost the same amount of games as Bruno. He's probably played more because he's more fit and he plays every game. But there's got to be somebody out there that's close, and they ain't doing the numbers that he's doing. And that's what these people are saying. So, yeah, but then, Chad, we have this, I have this argument all the time. I mean, my father says the same thing. You know, you say he's the main guy in a team that does nothing, is a mirage of water in the desert. Okay, but again, if he is the main guy in a team that does nothing and Bruno is shit, then what is the rest of our team? Because if Bruno is our best player and our team is shit, so Bruno is shit, what's the rest of our team then? You know? I mean, if he is our best performing player in terms of statistically, like with goals, assists, and stuff like that, and you say he's shit, then what is the rest of our team? Because if he's shit, then they're double shit. I don't know what to tell you. Like, statistics doesn't mean nothing. What's his stats in big games? I don't know. I don't really go by statistics. I look at goals, assists, really. I use my eyes. I'm not a stats person. I don't look at stats. I don't really give a shit about stats. I'm not a stat guy. You know, if you hear me talking about stats, it's literally about how many games you played, how many goals, how many assists you got. That's as far as I go with statistics, really. I don't really go any further than that. Pogba had more assists in the Prem in his last season with less games. There are at least 20 mids better than him in the world. Yeah, but Pogba's not an option. Pogba is done and dusted, and he's washed. I mean, it's not like we could go get Pogba. Pogba's done. So I'm trying to tell you, to their argument, answer the question of, if you get rid of Bruno Fernandes, in their mind, who do you go get right now that's going to give them goals, assists, and chances created at the level that he gives? That's what they're concerned about. I'm not concerned about that because I'm selling him to get money so I can buy 4 players in 4 different positions. I ain't looking to replace him. And this is a repercussion that comes from us failing and not being good enough and not winning the Champions League. It has nothing to do with if I think Bruno's good or not. I simply look at it as he is a 31-year-old player and we are being offered 100 million and we don't have a team. To me, it's 2 plus 2. It has nothing to do with if he's good, if he's bad, if he's undisciplined, if he's not disciplined. You can add all those in, but for me, it's just more straightforward. He's 31 years old. We're being offered 100 million for him. We don't have a team, and we need to get in as many players as possible, and we need to rebuild the team. So I would sell him. I would. Kudus over Bruno every day. Well, I like Kudus. does he play centrally like that? Isn't he more of a winger? But Bruno don't really score set pieces. And we don't really score from set pieces. That man Eric says Grace most definitely not. I'm not. I can't be like one of those guys, man. I can't stand that. It's when you start deep diving into statistics like that. Like, I mean, listen. Sometimes it's like cool or whatever to like look at, but like when you live your life by like numbers like that and like analytics and like fucking graph lines and shit, I'm like this isn't. I'm like this is like simulation at this point. I was like, we're not. This isn't even football. Like, use a pair of eyes. You know. Bello Emmanuel says United has to wake up. Most especially in Mbeumo deals. Snap him up immediately. You wasted too much time. I think they're okay now. I mean, I think considering the developments that's happened today, I think this deal will probably move quite quickly. Or at least I hope. Don't be penny pinching and dragging it out, but they don't get inspired by him as the common denominator. I don't say he's the best. I mean, but that's just your opinion. I mean, all the players they all rate him highly. Every manager that's been here since he's come here, they all rate him highly. So I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't disagree that he doesn't. They don't get inspired by him. Daz Sweets says, I would now go for Warden and Eze from Palace. Yeah, I mean, if we can, yeah. If we can. But, Warden's going to cost you a lot of money. You could definitely do Eze, probably, for sure. Warden's going to be a lot. And I don't know. Again, the thing is, to sell Bruno, I think everybody's thinking mostly basically behind it is because all the people that are pretty much advocating for the sale of Bruno are people that actually they like Bruno. They weren't going to sell him, but they're looking at it as the team as a whole. And I don't know if Warden's going to cost the 80, 90 million. I don't think that's like smart. Because I think everybody that's pretty much like advocating for Bruno at this point, they weren't advocating for Bruno's sale before. But they're doing it because they're like, we need money and we need to rebuild the team. And if we sell Bruno, we can probably buy about 4 players of quality. So I don't know if you do Warden, because Warden is like, it's going to be quite expensive. He's good. He is good. And maybe it would be worth it. But I don't know if it necessarily would, because really the idea behind it right now is we need money so we can sign more players, so we could have a stronger squad all around. So you say Pedri, Frankie, Jude, and Musiala. When we talk about a complete reset, then that's what it means. When Bruno moves on, which I think he will, it's about starting again from scratch. The days of waiting for moments and games are over. Well, yeah, that's my whole thing, and that's what I stand by, because that's what I said. I said, when we lost, I said people have to understand that there's the ramifications and stuff that the consequences are gonna come out because of what happened, and we're gonna have to deal with it. I like Bruno Fernandez. I think he's a good player. I wouldn't have necessarily sold him if we didn't need to, but I understand the situation that the club is in, and I understand that selling one player for 100 million and allowing us to buy 4 new players, in my opinion, is a better thing for the squad as a whole in general, and I think it's a correct football decision move, because like you said, Undero, and by the way, what's up, Undero? How you doing? Um, but like, at one point, Bruno will have to leave this team, and we will have to, live without Bruno. So that's why I also disagree with the people that say that, we can't replace Bruno. Because it's like, well, he's going to retire one day, or he's going to get old enough where he ain't going to be good enough impactfully anymore. So what do we do then? Do we just, go into administration? Because we can never replace Bruno Fernandez. Um, and I think just the ramifications of what happened, I think this is something that has to happen. And like you put it, when we talk about a complete reset, there's no really off limits except for maybe some of the younger players, youth players, because there's a future in them. There's a future in them. The Cam from PSG, none of them are doing, but none of them are they don't have the same goals, assists, and chances created as him. And also, I mean, like Gibbs says, can we get those players? Because that's the argument that they're making, Chad. This is what I'm saying. It's not just about listing somebody that might be better than him or whatever, but who can we get? This is what they're saying. Who can we get that's going to give us some sort of an output to the level that he gives us an output? Because I don't think we can. Box is Bruno staying, in my opinion. And says, yo, Eric. Yo, what's up, Box? Maybe he will. I mean, apparently his family is not convinced by moving. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, right now he's off in Portugal. And he's with a couple of them. And a couple of them are playing in Saudi Arabia. So, I don't know. He has till Friday to answer. So, I guess we're going to have to deal with this till the rest of the week, probably. Until, something comes out of it. So, Bello Emmanuel says, please, what happens to Onana? Because he needs to leave. He gave opposition balls to climb on. Well, again, I think we're pretty much all in agreement that we should be getting a new goalkeeper, and we need a new goalkeeper. You know what I mean? The way I see it right now, the situation is just, it's one that doesn't have much clarity right now. There's been a little bit of talk of United might want to try and get rid of him. They don't know if they can, because it depends on what kind of offer. Onana's kind of reluctant to leave, doesn't really want to go. But at the same time, United are looking to do something in the goalkeeping position, whether that means directly replacing Onana or getting rid of Binder and getting another number 2 that's going to challenge Onana for his spot. I always liken the situation kind of to like Arsenal with Raya and Ramsdale. Arteta bringing Raya on loan. Raya was obviously one that he was starting in the Prem. He was a starter of quality. He didn't start the season as a starter. He came to Arsenal on loan in the bench. Ramsdale started. Ramsdale messed up in a couple games. Arteta yanked him, put in Raya, and never looked back. And we could probably do something similar to that, where you can get rid of Binder. You can get somebody that's more complete to actually play that goalkeeping position. So somebody that can actually do shot stopping, but also can play out of the back and can sweep. And you can get them in as a number 2. And like when I say number 2, like I mean a strong number 2. Like if Onana does anything close to what he did this season, he might start next season. But if he does anything close to what he did in some of the matches, like he did against Lyon, then he got dropped. I think he gets dropped, and he gets dropped quickly. And then the number 2 comes in, and I think when the number 2 comes in, barring the number 2 has an absolute nightmare, I think there's probably no going back after that. So, could be something like that. But it's been kind of quiet since we've gotten those updates. Those updates were a few weeks ago. And I think we won't probably get any updates about that till at least we sort out the striker. And, we're going to have to do some Mbeumo deal and get it completed. But then I think the third signing will be the striker. It has to be. and then from there, then maybe we start looking midfielder and goalkeeper or something like that, somewhere in the back area for sure. Because the forward line will be complete. So Onana should be first out. Well, maybe, but sometimes, if we had our way, sure, box like. I wouldn't necessarily like argue that, but I just think the way things go, situation wise. I mean, if there's not really interest in him, or we can't really get a good deal, then we kind of have to do whatever we can do about it. So if Ruben Bin Laden gets sacked, does Cunha and Mbeumo fit a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1? Good question. Well, Mbeumo does, because he can play winger for sure. So he can play on the right hand side. So he can definitely play in a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1. And then Cunha, I mean, in a 4-3-3, I don't think he actually would fit unless you play him as the 9, as the striker. In a 4-2-3-1, as a 10 behind the striker, I guess you could play him there. So in a way, yeah, kind of, but I don't think, again, that's why, it would be interesting to see, because like I've always argued, it's not these signings. Listen, INEOS, if they're signing people, and this is why they can't do this, because it's the same thing United did for every other manager previously, and it's led us to where we are. So INEOS is actually doing a proper and real job, like we're supposed to have. Yes, you get players that fit the manager system and can help the manager, and the manager can use. But also, those players have to be able to be usable with other managers, because they might play either a different formation, or they might play a similar sort of football. So it depends on what they choose. They can get a manager that maybe they go and get another manager that plays a similar formation to Ruben, that plays a 3-back. And there's no problems there. Maybe they get somebody that plays, a similar style of football. I mean, that's just the decision that they can make. I feel like that's always what they got to do, because there's got to be some sort of I don't know the word that I was about to say. Continuity, something like that. Continuity. There you go. There's got to be some continuity. Like, our club should always have some sort of a philosophy and an identity. The manager is there to manage it and help it, like, flourish and grow. But when the manager gets sacked or leaves, it shouldn't leave with him, because it's supposed to be part of our club. So it's their job to create that, and then it's also their job to sign players that can be used for the current manager, but then also fit that philosophy and identity of football. And the next hire should be somebody that also fits that package, which is what we weren't doing before. We were hiring managers that played different ways and used different players, and it wasn't the same. And we'd get specific players for one manager, didn't work out. The next manager couldn't use them, didn't want to use them, didn't work. So we had to get them their players. They not supposed to be doing this, because they're supposed to be people that know what they're doing more than the people we had. So Gibbs says they play in easier leagues and better sides and have worse stats. I don't think they are Chad person. That just doesn't. Chad just doesn't like Bruno. Onana, worst keeper we've seen at Manchester United. I mean, he is bad. Type was worse than Onana, and Ricardo. Yeah, Ricardo was bad too. We had some howlers in goalkeeper. We did. Onana did cost us 55 million though. That is true. We really need to shift the likes of Onana, Binder, Malacia, Rashford, Anthony, Sancho though. No, 100%. But I think all those players. I mean, listen, I don't know if you get rid of both Onana and Binder. Maybe get rid of one, but for sure, definitely Malacia, Rashford, Anthony, Sancho. I mean, those are all guys that are at the top of the list, and I do expect them to be not in in the team in any way. You know, come the end of the window. Bruno not even wanted by top teams in Europe because they're not going to pay 100 million for a 31-year-old. I wouldn't pay 100 million for a 31-year-old. Not if I'm a well-run football club. Why would I pay 100 million for a 31-year-old? When I could just go get the next kid and probably get him for 30 million cheaper or something like that. Why don't Inter want Bruno? They can't afford him. Inter don't want Bruno because Inter don't have 100 million. But why didn't Sporting want him back? Because they don't have the money to pay him. Atletico doesn't have the money either. They don't have the money for him. He is not wanted in the Champions League. They literally can't afford him. Like, we don't even really... Chad, we don't even want to sell Bruno. If somebody offered us 60 million, we would be rejecting it. Like, the only reason why we're considering this is because Saudi Arabia, who has the most money in the world and literally buy players and give people crazy amounts of wages, are offering us 100 million. The only reason why this is even being considered is because of the 100 million. Nobody's going to pay 100 million. Saudi Arabia's going to pay 100 million because their league is shit and they're not in the Champions League and they do this to get players. I mean, they gave 80 million for Durant. Like, you know, they do this all the time. So they literally can't afford Bruno Fernandes. Inter won't buy Bruno because they would come to us and be like, we want Bruno, here's 60 million, and we're going to tell them fuck off. But we're only looking at this Bruno deal because nobody in United has made the decision that Bruno isn't good, we need to get rid of him. They don't want to sell him, but the club failed to get into Europe, lost 100 million, and we need to rebuild the team. And a Saudi Arabia team has come and said, we desperately want Bruno Fernandes. We're going to give you Bruno a ridiculous 700,000 a week, and we're going to pay you 100 million. That's why this is happening. And there's this, hi Eric, I'm good, thanks. My point being, it's not, my point being is it's not a case of replacing Bruno. It's an identity. We should be looking completely different next season. A collection of game changes inside. That's exactly my point. So me and you are 110% on the same page. It's not about replacing Bruno. I don't think you could actually necessarily replace Bruno because I don't think we can. I don't think the players that would replace him, and some of them Chad listed that he says that they're better. And they may very well be, but I don't think we can even buy them. I don't even think we can get them. And again, the whole point in selling Bruno is not about selling Bruno to try and get somebody better. It's about selling Bruno to take the cash to use it to build out the squad. So that, like you put it, Undero, we should be looking completely different next season. A collection of game changers in the side. That's exactly the whole point of this whole Bruno thing. That's literally what it's for. So... but good to hear you're doing good. I'm glad that you're here. So, Chad says never wanted Onana. He had highlights like this at Inter and Ajax. I did see those. I did see those, Chad. And I tried to ignore them because I don't like to use highlights as a gauge or an indicator for a player's talent. Because I think with highlights, you can literally stitch together a bunch of clips. You can make somebody look absolutely dog shit. Or you can make look somebody like, you know, Pele, Maradona, Ronaldo, Messi had a baby. I did see that, though. And I was like, I tried to push it out of my head, but I was like, God, I hope this guy doesn't do this sort of shit when he comes to United. Because I was already worried because I didn't even really want to sell De Gea. Because I just know the history that we have with the goalkeeping position. Like, we may very well need a sweeper keeper. Maybe De Gea was not at his best at that time, but I was like, I know that De Gea can make us big saves because he's done it before, and I still trusted him, and I was like, I didn't trust United to get it right when you get rid of De Gea, who's been there for however long he was there for, and then go get a new goalkeeper. I was like, I don't trust these guys. They're gonna fuck it up. They're gonna fuck it up. And I tried to give him as much benefit of the doubt as I possibly could. But I mean, last season wasn't great. He single-handedly got us knocked. I mean, 2 seasons ago now, he got us knocked out of the Champions League with his disaster performances. Almost got us knocked out of the Europa League. And he costed us so many points, and it's just like we can't do that. And Dara says, "Don't worry, guys. There is no way that United will not replace Onana for next season. They are not going to recruit in the other areas without taking care of the keeper position without a doubt. I think they'll get there. I just think it's probably gonna. It's one that's a little bit further down the list. That's all it is. It's kind of like how I've been putting it. I think pretty much aligned with kind of how the club is going about it. I think the attack definitely needed to be fixed. The attack definitely needed a lot of the budget or a lot of money being spent on it, which is what's happening because we're spending 60 on Cunha. It's going to be 50 or 60 on Mbeumo. And then whoever the striker is, which better be at the minimum another 60 because I don't think you get anybody that's actually quality for less than 60. So it's got to be 60 plus. I hope it's Gyökeres. I think that's well 60, and that's a good 180 million spent on the attack. I think that we should be scoring a lot more goals, and we should be a lot more dangerous, for sure. And then we definitely have to look at at least one midfielder. And a goalkeeper. And then I think maybe maybe in January or the next season after, we get another center back. Because we do have Heaven and stuff like that now. So I mean, he's gonna take a spot at the very least, and hopefully Lisandro will stay fit. So we should be kind of covered back there. Also, I like Maz in that position, so that's why I would split Ahmad and Delo playing wing back because I'd rather just have Maz as a center back. I like him there, and I like him better at center back than I do at wing back. So I would just do that. Gray says they're clearly spending the majority of the summer budget on forwards. It's funny, I just said that. Wingbacks, midfielders, and goalkeepers don't cost nearly as much as forwards. Yeah, I mean, that's true. They don't. And obviously the forwards cost the most because, again, at the end of the day, listen, you can rate whatever you want. That's fine. Like, I have no real quarrels with that. But for me, personally, if I've always had the adage, if you don't score, you don't win. So that's why, the forwards and attackers are always highly priced because literally you can have the best defense in the world. But I mean, if you're not scoring goals, you ain't going to win shit. You ain't going to accomplish anything. And the only way you're going to score goals is if you have a good attack. And if you score goals, you most likely more than less, you tend to win things. So obviously, you don't have just a good attack because you need a well-balanced squad, right? You need to have good defense. You have to have a good midfield as well. But the attack is obviously, that's why they're more expensive than any other position because goals win you games. Although somebody out there is screaming, defense wins you games. And they do sometimes, but I think you have to put points on the board. You have to put points on the board. So if you're not scoring, you're not putting points on the board. How are you winning games? Chad says he's not 100 mil. That just the Saudis would pay that. Doesn't mean he's worth that. He's worth whatever we value him at. So we don't want to sell him. If I'm telling you right now, if Inter Milan came to us and they said we want to buy Bruno Fernandes, and they're like, all right, how much would you pay us? And they say 60 million, we would tell them to fuck off. We would tell them 80 at the very least, maybe even 100. But that's the only reason why we're considering it. And that's why nobody's even trying, because one, we actually don't, the club doesn't actually really want to sell him, and Ruben doesn't want to sell him. The only reason why this is being considered is one, because he's being offered a lot of money personally, so he's at least entertaining it, because I think when you get that sort of thing, you at least hear it out, probably, the very least. But nobody else is gonna, I mean, we weren't looking to sell him, so they're not even gonna try, because he wasn't for sale. It's just the Saudi team came and they said, we'll give you 100 million. And we're like, well, fuck, now we got to think about it. But there was nobody else that was going to even try, because it wasn't going to get accepted unless he gave us something like 100 million, and no one's going to give us 100 million for a 31-year-old player. Just doesn't make sense. Why won't we take 70 or 80? No. I want 100. I'm greedy. They want him. We weren't even trying to sell him. They want him. They have money. Bend him over a barrel like everybody else does to us. Bend him over a barrel. They're willing to pay whatever, apparently, according to the reports. Give us 125. Give us 150. I don't care. You're paying him 700,000 a week. You can't pay us 125. I don't care. I know they have money, and I know they're desperate to get him, and they'll pay. Apparently, they said they'll pay whatever they want, so why would I accept 70 or 80? No. We weren't really looking to sell him. You came in, you made this offer. We know you have money. Actually, give us more. Give us more. You're trying to take a player from us that we actually don't really want to sell. Make it happen. Give us something way over the price that maybe we should be getting. I'd push as high as possible. I wouldn't sit there and, they offer 70, 80 million. I wouldn't sit there and be like, you know what, that's a good deal. I'd push that as high as possible. I'd go as high. I'd try to take it to 125. Why not? They have money. They're desperate for him. And there it says Bruno's market value is 55, 60 million. The only reason he's tabled, the tabled price is around 100 million because Al Hilal are willing to pay that, particularly because of not getting Salah last season. Yeah, I agree. But also, I mean, his market value could be 60, but it's also about supply and demand. I mean, like, his market value could be 60, but if United weren't in this situation and his market value is 60, and 3 clubs were interested in buying him, and they offered us 60, United can turn it down and be like, his market value on paper might be 60, but we value him much higher. So if you want him, you got to pay more. I mean, other teams do this to us all the time. We should take advantage of the situation. Highlights of various things that display unique quality is educational. To a certain degree, you can pick up things from players by watching highlights. I just don't like to use highlights as, I don't know, like some people do. Because I see this shit all the time. They watch a highlight clip and they go, this guy's an absolute baller. He's going to be the next one. He's going to be the next head of football, the next superstar. And then you come and you watch them play full 90-minute games and you're like, yeah, that's not accurate. So, I mean, you can pick up things about players and it's fine. I do watch highlights here and there, but I don't compartmentalize the highlights in my brain as to, like, this is the full package of the player. I'm watching a 10-15 second clip and different clips of them doing different things in the game. But it's not the same when you're watching them for full 90 minutes consistently week in, week out. It's way different. So I'll look at things. I'll be like, yeah, he might have a good first touch, or, he's got some pace or some stuff like that. But I ain't going to say, like, yeah, I watched the 10-minute highlight clip and this guy is the next, superstar of the world coming up. No, I reserve that judgment for when I watch them play full matches. Gibbs says Højlund had a poor goal record before we signed him. Why bother? Zerks had a poor record before we signed him. Why bother? Well, I mean, Højlund, we should have never signed him for 72 million, but that's the other people that were in charge. That's their fault. But Xerxes, I mean, as a 10, I think he could do a job. I don't like him as a 9, and I wouldn't play him as a striker. But as a 10, I think he could do a job there, actually. I don't know what we originally bought him for, because it was for Ten Hag, kind of, I guess. And his system and his formation. And I guess he was going to play him striker, but I don't necessarily like him as striker. So I wouldn't really do that. I think it'll be Emi Martinez and Jean-Philippe Mateta. That's my guess. We'll see. I mean, I think Emi is good. I'd take Emi. I think he's good. I've rated him quite highly. I think he's a good goalkeeper. He could be a bit erratic, but I still think he's a very good shot stopper, and he can sweep well as well. A goalkeeper. And Jean-Philippe is he's pretty good too. I mean, he ain't my Gyökeres. I want Gyökeres. That's my dream. Gyökeres. But at the end of the day, I mean, as long as they get some sort of a high quality player up in the striker, then I'll be happy about it. That's what we need. Gibbs says Mason Mount was injury prone before he signed him. I don't think he was, to be quite honest. Why bother? And fans want to moan our scouts are being made redundant. Thank God they are going. Yeah, but you know what? I mean, some of the scouts for sure, because I think our scouting system is overbloated anyway. But at the end of the day, Gibbs, that doesn't really go to the scouts. It goes to the people that was supposed to be in charge, like the CEO or the director of football that we supposedly had in John Murtaugh and shit like that, or whoever was doing it before. It's those people, because they're in charge of setting the system and, getting people, the chief scout, to get all the scouting reports and compile the scouting reports and pick the best ones, and then they still have an input because they're supposed to know football and they're supposed to make final decisions and shit. And they clearly just never knew what they were doing, and they just make bad recruitment choices. So, Chad says we can get Eze also. Why not? No, I'd take Eze. Why not? Yeah. I mean, if we sell Bruno, we can do a lot of things, which is why I'm for it, because I think it makes sense in terms of the dynamics of the squad. If you sell one player for 100 million in our situation as a football club and what we need to do, it makes sense. So I'm not gonna cry, and there's no spilled milk over Bruno Fernandes. I still like him as a player. I think he's been a good servant to the football club. I enjoyed his time here, but I ain't gonna cry because Bruno's got to go. Because I seen Beckham leave. I seen fucking Vanessa Roy leave. I seen Ronaldo leave twice. Shit happens, but we gotta move on at some point, and we gotta go for a new, and we gotta build something. And I think the situation that the club's in, it is the time that we can take. I mean, for me, it is a once in a lifetime opportunity at this current moment in time. United finishing 15th in no Europe, and there is a team out there offering 100 million for one of our players. We will never get this opportunity again for minimum 5 years from where we are now. There is nobody, and it has nothing to do with Bruno, because if it was 100 million for another player, I would say take it as well, because I think we need it. And one player, when you're talking about the rest of the squad, you have to put the rest of the squad over one player. No one player is bigger than the club. They never will. They never were, and they never will be. They can't be. It's not allowed. And if they are, then let's just fold the club and go do something else. Because then we're not a football club. We don't have a football club. We have the worst scouting setup in the world, and the worst recruitment in the world. Cry me a fake river. Our scouts are being made redundant. Great news. I mean, yeah, I mean, this has had to happen anyway. So, you know, I've always said that uh, we've been quite bloated and you clearly have to trim shit. So, you know, I don't think we necessarily have. I don't think the scouting setup itself is the worst. Our recruitment is shit for sure. Um, I think this. I think like the scouts that we have and where we have them, I think isn't generally bad in terms of that we have numbers. We might have too many, but the process in which the scouting reports get compiled and then sort of analyzed and funneled and then get picked on which one you're going to choose to listen to and follow, that bit there is the part that's always been fucked up for quite some time, because we scout so many players and we have so many players on the list, and you can go back and see like the players that some of our scouts were watching, and they tried to make the recommendation to the club to sign them, and for whatever reason, whoever was in charge of that and whoever was taking care of like analyzing these scouting reports and shit, they ignored that and they went with a different one, and clearly that was the wrong choice. And then you look at the other player and you're like, they fucked up big time, because look at how that player turned out and look at how the player that we got turned out. So, well, we have been trying to fix that. So, hopefully we see some good things come out of that. You know, did Palace finish on top of us? They did. Did Palace win a cup? Did Eze score in that cup? He did. Yeah, I have nothing against Eze. I like Eze. He's a good player. We could get Eze. Why not? No, Eze's a good player. Eze's a good player. There's no doubt about it. Eze's a good player. I would take Eze for sure. Eze's a good player, especially for what we have in our team. I mean, we could take almost anybody at this point, except for fucking Mitrovic, because he's ass. And I want him nowhere near. You know, that's why Bruno is not getting interested in top European clubs, because they won't pay anywhere near 90 to 100 million for a player who's 31 in September. It makes no business sense, and player insurance, yeah, 100%, just makes no sense. The fact we rate Bruno so high is what's wrong with our club. I don't know. Why is that? Because I don't think that's a problem. But Chad, I tell you what's wrong with our club is we suck at recruitment and we're shit at decision making. My number one thing, for the reason why we are what we are, is, well, obviously because of the Glazers, but the biggest thing, it ain't Bruno. You know, I don't give two shits really when it comes to Bruno like that. It's just pure recruitment. If we recruited better, we would be a better team. But we have the worst, you know, like Gibb said, we have the worst recruitment ever. We have the worst record in recruitment over the last 12 years. That's why we are what we are. So, um, but while I enjoyed this, and I know there's a lot of comments that you guys made, but Ray says 2 years of Bruno captain, we finished 13 and 15. We say he is the best in the last 6 years where we went. Yeah, but see, I don't value that though. You know, I don't really get that. You know, and I don't really like. To me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, what does Bruno being the captain have to do with us finishing 13 to 15? So you think that one player? I mean, I don't know. You watch our team. Do you see the players we have on the field? Do you see how they play? You think one guy? You know, to me, saying that is the same shit as saying the manager. It's the same shit. One guy ain't gonna do nothing. We finished 13th and we finished 15th because our team sucks. Simple as that. Because our club sucks. Our team sucks. Has nothing to do with Bruno being the captain. Bruno being the captain made us 13 to 15. How? There's 11 players on the pitch, and we have a squad of 25 players. They all play next to Bruno, and they all suck. So it's Bruno's fault because he wears the captain armband. Actually, get that captain's armband and give it to one of them and see what happens. Because it wouldn't be any better. It would actually probably be much worse. So, yeah, we finished 7th. Whatever it was, doesn't matter. Same shit. 8th. Whatever. It's not about him. Again, the whole thing is we don't recruit good. We never created a good team. We don't have a team. It's as simple as that. It's not about Bruno. It ain't about the manager, who's one guy. It ain't about just Marcus Rashford, because when Rashford was here, it was all about Rashford. Rashford isn't here. We still suck, because it's never been our issue. As a whole, when you start picking up individuals and compiling them together, sure, but then you're talking about 8, 9, 10 players. Just wake up, guys, smell the coffee, start rebuilding on new players. That's what we're asking for. That's what we're asking for. That's what we're asking for. Anyway, I need to go because I got to go do some things, and I wasn't even supposed to be live today, and I wasn't even supposed to be live for this long. So appreciate all of you. Thank you, everybody that smashed the like button. Shout out to all the people that got involved in the chat, and shout out to all the chat members. And yeah, I mean, it was a good day for news. And Mbeumo, looks like we're gonna get him. And hopefully that develops quite well. Maybe before I get out of here, I'll just check to see if we got any other updates. I doubt it, but we will see. That's pretty much it. Apparently, Rasmus Hojlund has explicitly told his entourage that he would like to remain in United this summer and continue to fight for his place under Ruben Amorim. So, I think Inter can make all the bids they want, and United can try and sell him. But if that's true, which I kind of feel like it is, because Rasmus seems like that kind of person that he's going to want to stay and fight. I don't think we'll see Rasmus go. So Rasmus is probably going to end up staying unless something else develops. But I take that as I take that as he's going to refuse all offers. He clearly, I don't think he wants to leave after the season he's had. I think he wants another go at it. Jean Garcia is going to Barcelona, so that's one goalkeeper off of the table. So yeah. But anyway. Wait, what? Borussia Dortmund has spoken with the agent of Amad Diallo in the past week or two and really like him just early as they've inquired about his situation if he's up for sale. Yes, give us 1.2 billion and you can have him. No. Borussia Dortmund, you go fuck yourself. Borussia Dortmund can go fuck themselves. You guys are prats. I mean, you dicked around with us with the Sancho deal. We loaned you back to him. You fucking put up social media posts like you were fucking, talking about how great he was, and then you never put the money where your mouth was, and you didn't buy him because you know he's shit, and then you just wanted to fucking dig us out. So Borussia Dortmund can literally go fuck themselves. Don't even look at Ahmad. Don't even look in his direction. But I am getting out of here. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody that smashed the like button. Thank you to everybody that subscribed. There was a new subscriber. We did get some new subscribers. So shout out to you guys. We're on the way to 3,500. And we're going to get there. So we'll see how the rest of the week goes. I don't know if I'll stream tomorrow. Although we might have to because now this Mbeumo thing is here. So I feel like the news is going to stay kind of hot. So we might have to do that. But I might just have to do like a shorter show. And just cut you guys out because time schedule ain't working out for me. It's as you can see, he says it's 6:25 p.m. I still got to go work out. I got to eat, and I got to take a shower. So, and I need to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, I don't have time. But yeah, I gotta try and get these things done. So, Andera says, I know exactly how Rasmus feels. As I can tell you, I've seen many young strikers struggle at top clubs. A few of them are friends of mine, and many had mental health issues that I can tell you. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, listen, you play on the world stage, everybody watches you, and you're criticized heavily. I'm sure it's not easy to deal with. You know what I mean? Especially when you're performing like shit. I mean, people crumble when they can't perform at their job in, a fucking office. And maybe they work with like 20 people and they have like mental breakdowns. Imagine doing that in front of like hundreds of millions of people clipping you up and putting you on fucking social media and shit. So yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So, but yeah, I'm out of here. So thank you guys. If you didn't hit the like button, please make sure you hit the like button on the way out, because it is a massive help to the channel. It gets the channel pushed out there more. We do get more views. So yeah, we appreciate when you take the time to do that, because it is a massive help. And again, shout out to the subscribers, shout out to all the members, the VIP members, and shout out to everybody that got involved in the chat and supports the show. We will speak soon. Stay posted. I'll try to keep you guys updated. If you're not in the Discord, you got to get in the Discord, because it's the easier way to know when we're going live. I could keep you more up to date, quicker and faster. Because when I make the post, it's direct and you get tagged in it and stuff like that. And sometimes I forget to put, you don't see the community post on YouTube. It's not as direct and stuff like that. And also, you're missing out on all the transfer updates that we keep you posted in the Discord as well. We keep you posted throughout the day. Whenever they're put out, we send them in there and we have discussions about it as it's happening as well throughout the day. So even when we're not live and online, there's constant discussion, and it goes on without me as well. There's people having discussion between them. So yeah, cheers everybody, be good, have a good night, and we will speak